Chapter 22-23. Meng Li had a deep memory of the Phantom King. He was almost killed by the Phantom King in one move. If it weren't for Feng Biao's help and his quick reaction, he would have been dead by now. Though the Phantom King was underage, he was strong. Meng Li believed that even an average fourth tribulation immortal could not kill the Phantom King, let alone capture it. How could Meng Li and Commander Long not be shocked when Lu Li carried the Phantom King in like a dead dog? While they were shocked, they had a new assessment of Lu Li's abilities. When Lu Li captured Meng Li, he did not use any powerful moves. He only used the Worms of the Void and the Ghost Slayer to injure the Phantom King bit by bit. It was the same for Commander Long. Lu Li was only using his body to withstand the Phantom King's attacks, risking his life. These were common moves. If that were all, Meng Li and Commander Long believed that Lu Li could not hurt the Phantom King, let alone capture him. So, Lu Li must have been hiding his strength? Or, Lu Li didn't see them as real opponents at all. He didn't need to use his trump card to fight against them. Of course, it was also possible that Lu Li had a piece of treasure that he did not take out when he was fighting them. Yes. Meng Li took a look at the immortal's body and nodded. He did not connect the immortal's body to Emperor Zi's body, but he could tell that the immortal's body was extraordinary. The mountain was a treasure as well. Meng Li could not tell that it was the 9 mysterious mountains, but a warrior of the second tribulation had so many treasures. This in itself was proof that Lu Li was not an ordinary person. Lu Li paid no attention to Meng Li and Commander Long. He stared at the Phantom King, thinking about how to tame this powerful beast. Others would not be able to do this because they could not communicate with the Phantom King. Lu Li had Blood Fairy. Blood Fairy could communicate with beasts. Back in the days, she tamed 2 beasts of primordial chaos. Of course, that was purely cooperation. This time, Lu Li planned to have the Phantom King set up a contract with him so that he could control the Phantom King's life. The Phantom King was still a minor, so it was the best time to tame it. When the Phantom King was an adult, it would be much more difficult. Powerful monsters all had their own pride, and it was not easy for them to submit. Lu Li looked at the Phantom King who was covered in wounds. He thought about it and dashed into another side chamber. He tossed the Spectre King onto the ground and ordered the Void Worms to start gnawing on the Spectre King's body. He caused the Phantom King to suffer unbearable pain and have a mental breakdown. Buzz! Lu Li told Blood Fairy to come over and set up runes in this side hall in case the Phantom King would destroy this place. Though the Phantom King's claws were destroyed, his physical body was still strong. After the time for several incense sticks to burn, Blood Fairy laid out some patterns. Lu Li told the Worms of the Void to chew on Blood Fairy's body while Spectre tortured her soul. He was going to torture the Dark Spirit King both physically and spiritually. He was going to make the Dark Spirit King feel like it was looking at a demon. Only then would the Dark Spirit King submit to him. Such powerful monsters had their own pride and dignity. In their eyes, humans were just insignificant creatures like maggot. Do you think it's possible for a human to submit to a maggot? Only by completely shattering their confidence and pride could they be completely subdued. Bang! Lu Li threw the Spectre King away. The Spectre King crawled back up, roaring. At this moment, the Worms of the Void and Spectre were acting up at the same time. The Phantom King was in great pain. The Phantom King screamed but realized that the Worms of the Void and Spectre were both in its body. The Phantom King was at a loss and had to charge at Lu Li. Boom! Without the claws, the Phantom King was no different from a toothless tiger. In addition, the Phantom King was badly injured. Its abilities were weakened in all aspects. Lu Li used the Trace of Tao to control the Phantom King's movements. He landed a punch on the Phantom King and smashed it away. Roar, roar! Bang! Roar, roar, roar! Bang, bang, bang! The Phantom King charged at Lu Li again and again, only to be smashed away. Lu Li's punches landed on the Phantom King without mercy. The Phantom King was covered in cuts and bruises. The Phantom King was enraged. It crawled up again and charged at Luli. It had lost its claws, but it still had its teeth. The Phantom King wanted to bite Luli to death. However, its wings were broken. The worms of the void and specter in its body had been attacking constantly. The Phantom King was in pain all the time, and it was badly injured. How could it hurt Luli? Luli stood there coldly. Every time, he could smash the Phantom King away. Despite its small size, the Phantom King possessed great strength. Compared to the Phantom King was like a strong man and a bunny. However, when this little rabbit moved its hands, it could easily send the robust man flying. Admittedly, the Phantom King was strong. Even though it was badly injured and being bitten by the worms of the void and specter, the Phantom King was able to get up again and again. It took the Phantom King 2 hours to struggle. 2 hours later, the Phantom King could no longer move. It was covered in wounds and the hall was covered in blood. Lying on the ground, the Phantom King panted like a dying dog. But its blood-red eyes were still staring at Luli, filled with hatred and anger. Buzzing, Luli took out the relic metal but did not activate it. The relic had no more divine energy. Luli walked toward the Phantom King with the relic metal in his hand. Roar, roar, the Phantom King bellowed, but it was trembling and its eyes were filled with fear. The Phantom King was highly intelligent. Naturally, it knew that the artifact was powerful. Its arms and wings were all smashed by the relic metal. Luli took out the relic metal. Was he going to kill the Phantom King? Was he going to die? The Phantom King struggled to its feet and stepped back slowly. Its eyes were filled with fear. Clearly, the Phantom King was scared. It looked at Luli with fear as well. Maybe to the Phantom King, Luli was no longer a puny human being, but a horrifying demon. Luli stepped forward and the Phantom King stepped back. After a while, the Phantom King reached a corner. It had nowhere else to go. Under normal circumstances, given that there was no way out, this Phantom King should have rushed up to Luli and tried to take him down with it, right? However, the Phantom King did not move. It crouched in the corner, shivering. It was scared. Good, seeing this, Luli let out a sigh of relief. As long as the Phantom King was scared, the rest would be easy. Blood Fairy came out of the wall, turned into a beam of red light, and rushed into the Ghost King's body. She began to communicate with him. Luli did not move. He stood in front of the Phantom King, expressionless. Holding the relic metal in his hand, he was ready to end the Phantom King's life at any moment. Time moved on. The Phantom King's eyes were flickering with shame, anger, mockery, unwillingness, and struggle. Okay. An hour later, Blood Fairy's voice rang in Luli's mind. The Phantom King agrees to surrender to you. But he must make a deal with you. After 10,000 years, you must let him go. 10,000 years? Ha ha ha. Luli laughed. 10,000 years was enough. By then, he might be stronger than the Phantom King. By then, the Phantom King would be useless. Chapter 22-24. Spectre King was highly intelligent. Naturally, it knew how to establish a contract with a warrior and become a spiritual beast. As a matter of fact, there were cases of Spectre Kings being captured in history. But later on, Spectre Kings learned their lesson. If they could not win, they would escape into the deep sea. Some time ago, powerful warriors from the Hell Palace were trying to eliminate Spectre Kings. This Spectre King was born not long ago. Its mother did not have the time to take it into the deep sea. Spectre King had to stay in the underground world. Establishing a contract was easy. Luli just had to give Origin of Soul to Spectre King. Once Luli controlled the Origin of Soul, he could establish a spiritual connection with Spectre King and control its life and death. Luli smiled after he consumed the source of the Phantom King's soul. Becoming a powerful warrior would greatly enhance his strength in the future. Blood Fairy, ask him if his arms can grow back. I have some elixirs, Luli said to Blood Fairy. If Spectre King could not grow back his arms, then what was the use of Spectre King? To raise a good-for-nothing? Soon, Blood Fairy replied. Yes, Spectre King said he can grow back his arms even without the elixirs. Spectre King's recovery is strong. Good. Luli nodded with satisfaction. He took out some healing elixirs and gave them to Spectre King. Spectre King swallowed them and then lay on the ground to heal. Luli put away the worms of the void and ghost shadow. Then, he dashed to where Mengli was. Mengli and Commander Long were taken aback. They looked at Luli with awe. They had acknowledged Luli's abilities to be able to capture a Spectre King. What do you want? Mengli looked at Luli in fear as he walked over. His wounds had recovered a bit. That being said, his pellet was destroyed and his soul was sealed. Even if he could recover physically, he would be a disabled man for the time being. I want to get some information. If you cooperate, maybe you won't have to suffer, Luli said with a smile. He waved his hand. Numerous worms of the void flew out. Mengli and Commander Long were taken aback. Those worms could kill people. They did not want to go through that kind of pain a second time in their lives. Humiliated, Mengli said, Go ahead. I will tell you everything I can. Feng Biao escaped. Luli went straight to the point and asked, Now that the exit is sealed, I think the patriarchs of the Valley of Ghosts and powerful warriors of the Meng family will come in soon. You two, help me think of a way to get out. I just want to escape from Hell Island. As long as I leave, all of you will be safe. I can swear a blood oath on this. Feng Biao escaped? Mengli and Commander Long exchanged a glance, their eyes lighting up. The elders of Ghost Valley had probably already entered, right? The experts of the Meng family would probably arrive soon. When those powerful warriors were here, could Luli fly away? Hee. Mengli smiled faintly and said, Fourth Lu, you don't need to struggle. You can't escape. Either you kill us now, or else what awaits you is death. In front of a true powerhouse, you're just like a wild beast. If they want to kill you, it'll be no different from crushing an ant. Xiao. The worm of the void flew over. Luli didn't want to waste more time. Mengli still dared to be arrogant at this moment. Then Luli would let him have a good time. The worm of the void flew into Mengli and Commander Long's bodies, and began to gnaw at them. The two of them cried out miserably and rolled around on the ground. In their eyes there was unforgettable hatred. Luli stood on the side, calm and collected. He had always been cold-blooded and merciless to his enemies. Mengli and Commander Long wanted to kill him, so he could torture them no matter what. Stop. In just a moment, Mengli couldn't stand it anymore. Worms were gnawing on him. It was a torturous feeling. He was going crazy and his soul was about to collapse. Commander Long, on the other hand, was holding on. He was soaked in sweat and trembling. He stared at Luli like a viper. Luli didn't tell the worm of the void to stop. If he didn't teach Mengli a lesson, he wouldn't cooperate. Soon, Mengli couldn't stand it anymore. He screamed and begged Luli to go around. Commander Long couldn't stand it anymore either. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Luli told the worm of the void to stop. He walked over to Mengli slowly, squatted down, looked at the maggot-like Mengli and said, Can you tell me now? If you don't want to, we can move on. I can promise you that as long as I am still alive, this will last for a long time. Phew. Mengli glared at Luli with hatred. He made up his mind and said, Give me some rest. I need to think about it. Luli nodded but didn't stand up. He kept squatting and looked at Mengli coldly. The latter closed his eyes and was in deep thought. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, he said, Fourth Brother Lu, you want to take me away from the Hell Island. This is the right way. But it depends on who is coming from the Meng family. If it is my second grandpa, then you have a chance. If it is my third grandpa, he will not give you any chance. He is a well-known cold-blooded killer in the Hell Island. Second grandpa, third grandpa? Luli frowned and asked, Where is your grandpa? Where is your father? Will they come? My grandpa died in battle. Mengli smiled bitterly and said, My father is not strong enough and his status is not high. He will not come this time. My second grandpa is very kind to me. If he comes, you will have a chance to leave. If my third grandpa is here, he will kill you and me. He will not allow anyone to trample on the dignity of the Meng family. As for the patriarchs of the Valley of Ghosts, Mengli continued, you can ignore them. None of them dare to do anything. If I die, they will be implicated. So, if you take me as a hostage, the patriarchs of the Valley of Ghosts won't dare to fight against you. Can your second grandpa and third grandpa kill me in an instant? Luli asked a critical question. He had to be careful. He had never fought against a powerful warrior, so he had to make sure. Yes, Mengli said with certainty. If you are not a warrior of the fourth tribulation, you will not have a chance to fight back if either my second grandpa or my third grandpa, especially my third grandpa. He knows about soul skills. It will be too easy for him to kill you. Okay. I understand now. Luli nodded, looked at Commander Long and said, Commander Long, it is your turn. Do you have anything to tell me? We are sharing weal and woe. If I can run away, it means that you can live. If I die, you will die as well. I heard. Commander Long thought about it and said, It is said that there is a passageway in the ghost world that connects to a mountain outside the Valley of Ghosts. But that passageway is very dangerous. Those who are not patriarchs will die if they go in. Of course, this is just what I heard. I cannot be sure if it is true. Oh! Chapter 22-25. Whoosh! 8 powerful warriors were flying fast in the wild. The leader was the most powerful patriarch of the Haunted Valley, Patriarch Hu. His full name was Hui Yuanfeng. In addition to the 8 patriarchs, more than half of the army was here. They were searching for Luli all over the world. Patriarch Hu encountered the army led by Ho San. He didn't say anything about Ho San's complaint. He didn't want to care about the relationship between Ho San and Luli. He just flew to the haunted mountain with the 7 patriarchs after he found out the situation. Luli flew to the haunted mountain after he saw Ho San and the others. With the elders' speed, it only took them a day to arrive at the Nether Demon Mountain. Patriarch Hua and the others started to search the mountain. They didn't miss a single place and searched for every trace. Apart from Patriarch Yun and Patriarch Hua, who were not afraid of the important figures of the Meng family, the other patriarchs were afraid. Therefore, they were very serious. It was a pity. They searched the entire Nether Demon Mountain, but did not find anything. Patriarch Hua went down to the cave where Luli went. When he came back, he didn't find anything. Where is the Phantom King? The patriarchs were confused. This was the lair of the Phantom King. He couldn't have left his lair unless he was attacked too strongly. Could it be that Luli had defeated the Phantom King or lured him away? Let's spread out and keep in touch with scouts. We will gather at the haunted mountain in 10 days. Patriarch Hu waved his hand and the patriarchs started to search. Patriarch Yun didn't leave. Instead, he walked to Patriarch Hu. He looked at Patriarch Hu with suspicion and asked, Patriarch Hu, did you find something? Yes. Patriarch Hu smiled mysteriously and said, That kid is underground. He set up a good divine rune and hid his chi and energy. He thought I couldn't find him. Ha ha. I see. Patriarch Yun thought about it and asked, What should we do next? Should we secretly tell him to go to the tunnel? Patriarch Yun knew what Patriarch Hu was thinking. Patriarch Hu wanted to see Third Master of the Meng family flustered and humiliated the Meng family. Therefore, he hoped that Luli could get out of here. As long as Luli went out, things would be out of control. In the end, whether Luli could leave the Hell Island or not, Patriarch Hu would have achieved his goal. Of course, there was a premise here. He couldn't let others get hold of him. Otherwise, Old Hua and he would be in trouble. There's no hurry, Elder Hua said with a smile. Let's give him some hints later, and then we'll search around. If he can't even understand this, then just wait for the Meng clan to kill him. Buzz, a light flashed from Old Hua's space ring and a specter appeared. Old Hua reached out and grabbed the specter in his hand. The ghost was originally a soul body, but now it was caught by Elder Hua like a duck. It had to be said that Elder Hua's methods were powerful. Elder Hua released a few divine powers, and rays of light enveloped the outside of the ghost monster. Elder Hua then suddenly threw his hand, and the ghost monster actually sank into the ground. Let's go. Elder Hua smiled and flew up. Elder Yun seemed to be thinking and flew away. As for the specter, it quickly traveled underground. After traveling for tens of thousands of miles, it accurately smashed into a rock in the cave. Buzzing, the rock was the mountain. When the specter smashed into the rock, the mountain glowed faintly. Inside, Lu Li's hair stood on end. He tensed up. He used psychic power to check, and then he was stunned. There was a specter outside. It seemed to be bound by some special force. After it smashed into the mountain, it stopped moving and floated outside. What is going on? Lu Li was confused. He spread his psychic power to all sides at once, but he could not find anyone. He flew out from the mountain. Looking at the specter in front of him, he didn't know how to react. Buzzing, he released Ghost Shadow and it devoured the specter. The force that bound the Valley of Specters disappeared. The specter was real, not an illusion. What is going on? Lu Li used the trace of Tao to check. There was no one nearby. The specter seemed to have come out of nowhere. He thought for a moment, then flew out of the cave and circled around the area. Someone has been here. He found some traces nearby. Clearly, someone had been searching around. A rock at the entrance of the cave was broken. Lu Li put it there on purpose. Someone had been here and then disappeared. Did a specter smash into the mountain? Lu Li thought quickly. Soon, he was sure of one thing. Someone had seen him and it was a warning. Lu Li had no friends at the Hell Island. Why would this person help him? The person must be powerful to be able to find the runes underground and use such a powerful means to warn him. This person could be a powerful patriarch of the Valley of Specters. But why would this person help him? What was more, what was the point of warning him? Warning him that he had been discovered and that he should go somewhere else to hide? The ghost realm was only a small place. Where could he go? No. Lu Li suddenly shuddered. He thought of that ghost. This person could have used other means to warn him. Why would he go to such great efforts to catch a specter? Cliff of Souls. Lu Li yelled in surprise. He remembered the legend that Commander Long told him. There was an exit to the ghost realm, and that exit might be at the Cliff of Souls. Could it be a trap? Lu Li had his doubts, but soon he dismissed the idea. Judging by the means of that person, if he had taken action, he wouldn't have had a chance to run. He might not even notice when the mountain was sealed. Let's go. Lu Li was a man of swift and decisive action. He took out the map and flew toward the Cliff of Souls. While he was flying, he pondered. He was getting excited. Not much time had passed. It should be a patriarch of the Valley of Specters. The Meng family should not be here yet. Someone among the patriarchs of the Valley of Specters might have a grudge against the Meng family and hoped that Lu Li could escape and embarrass the Meng family. This was a good chance. Before the Meng family came, Lu Li must reach the Cliff of Souls as soon as possible. Then, he would have a chance to escape from the Ghost Realm. As for what to do after he left the Ghost Realm? How to leave the Hell Island? Lu Li didn't think about that. It was too far away for him now. If he could not leave the Ghost Realm, he would die for sure. Such a pity. Lu Li used psychic power to check the mountain. The Phantom King had consumed Lu Li's elixirs and was growing out arms and wings. However, from the looks of it, it would take at least 10 days to half a month for it to grow back. It would take at least half a month for it to recover its combat strength. You are overthinking. Soon, Luli forced a smile. So what if the Phantom King grew claws and wings? After all, this was an immature Phantom King. It could only kill average Fourth Tribulation warriors. Powerful warriors of the Meng family could kill it easily. Let's go. Chapter 22-26. The Cliff of Souls was not far away from the Ghost Mountain. Of course, the Ghost World was not a large place. It would only take Luli 7 or 8 days to go around the Ghost World at his top speed. The problem was that Luli could not fly at will. Patriarchs of the Valley of Souls were here. If he were to fly at random, he would run into those patriarchs. Once he was tracked down, he would be in big trouble. Fourth Tribulation Heaven Immortals were not to be trifled with. For Luli, there was a difference in realms. Luli did not fly very fast. The Cliff of Souls was to the north of the Ghost Mountain, a 2-day journey. At his current speed, it would take Luli at least 3 days. He used the Mark of Tao along the way to increase his senses. He flew in the forest in a low-key manner. He flew low and restrained his chi and energy like a ghost. In this way, there wouldn't be too much fluctuation in space. After flying for almost half a day, Luli didn't see a single person, which surprised him. Where were the elders of the Ghost Valley? Where were the warriors and scouts of the Valley of Souls? Why didn't he see any? Another 2 hours later, Luli finally saw a team of warriors. There were more than 10 of them searching nearby. Luli, on the other hand, was relieved. He went around it and flew on. I hope I won't run into any patriarchs. Luli prayed to himself. As long as he didn't run into any patriarchs, regular warriors wouldn't be able to find him. If he could reach the Cliff of Souls soundlessly and get out of the Hell Island, he would be far away by the time people here found him. Half a day. What surprised Luli was that he didn't run into any patriarchs. He had met a lot of soldiers, but he hadn't met a single one of the many elders. Those patriarchs are avoiding me on purpose? They want me to run away? An idea came to Luli's mind. Someone warned him on purpose, which meant that someone wanted him to run away and humiliate the Meng family. Luli didn't see any of those patriarchs. It was possible that the person had sent the patriarchs away on purpose. Luli sped up, hoping to reach the Cliff of Souls as soon as possible. After another half a day, he was not far away from the Cliff of Souls. Luli was getting excited. However, his luck finally ran out. He sensed a powerful chi and energy in front of him. When he wanted to go around at once, a man was coming at him quickly. A surge of psychic power came and Luli was locked in. Fourth Lu. An old and cold voice came. Luli's expressions changed. He knew this person. It was a patriarch of the Valley of Ghosts, surnamed Fu. He was more powerful than Patriarch Yang and was a ruthless character. Xiao. Patriarch Fu flew over and was 300 miles away from Luli in an instant. Luli released his dragon wings and flew away. He took a detour to the Cliff of Souls. Xiao. An air-piercing sound rang out in the sky behind him. Following that, a white light shot up into the sky. That white light exploded in the sky, and a huge firework bloomed. The dazzling white light illuminated a radius of 1,000 miles. It could probably be seen from tens of thousands of miles away. A signal flare. Elder Fu had sent out a signal, and the soldiers in the vicinity would probably gather here immediately. At the same time, the news would also spread, and all the elders and soldiers would gather here. Damn it! This time, Luli's expressions changed completely. Once the signal detonator was sent out, he would be surrounded by people. He was about to arrive at the Flying Souls Cliff. Was he going to fail at the last step? Go! Anyways, he must take a gamble. What was more, he had a hostage. Would the patriarchs of the Valley of Ghosts dare to do anything to him? He just hoped that the Meng family, especially Meng Li's third grandpa, were not here yet. Whoosh, 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 teams of warriors swarmed over from all sides. This time, almost 10,000 warriors were sent in. They were in groups of dozens. Instead of fighting with the demons and beasts, they were here to look for Luli. After the patriarchs came in, they had almost wiped out the entire ghosts region. Apart from some places with a high concentration of ghosts, most of the demons and beasts had been killed. Of course, Patriarch Yang and the patriarchs didn't mind that many warriors had been killed or injured. There were too many regular warriors. They could replace them if they were all killed. If Mengli died, then the patriarchs would have a hard time. Let's go. Luli rushed on at the top of his speed. Patriarch Fu was far behind him. He didn't catch up with Luli. Clearly, Patriarch Fu was not sure that he could kill Luli instantly. He was afraid that Luli would kill Mengli. Boom, 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 a team of warriors came from the front. They didn't have so many concerns. They all began to attack at Luli. The team's attack was impressive. That being said, regular warriors could only be this strong. Whoosh! Luli was not in the mood to fight with the regular warriors. He had already run away. A ray of Xian energy landed on him, but it only made him tremble. Luli didn't slow down and continued to fly into the distance. Boom, 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 more and more warriors were coming. Patriarch Yang had given his order. They must try their best to capture Luli. As long as they could capture Luli and save Mengli, it would be a great contribution and Patriarch Yang would reward them handsomely. Anyone that let Luli go on purpose would be killed on the spot. Teams after teams of warriors came. There should be more than 1,000 of them nearby. Luli was fast, but the attacks were so intense that he could not dodge them. Fortunately, his physical body was too strong. After withstanding more than a dozen attacks, he did not suffer any serious injuries. 2 hours later, Luli noticed that Patriarch Fu had been following him. Theoretically speaking, Patriarch Fu should be able to catch up with Luli. After all, Patriarch Fu was quite capable. But he had been following Luli from a distance and didn't catch up, which bothered Luli. Since Patriarch Fu didn't chase after him, Luli didn't mind. He flew toward the cliff of flying souls. If Patriarch Fu were to attack him, he could use Mengli as a shield. No patriarch would dare to attack him. Luli was not far away from the cliff of flying souls. After another hour, he could see an ocean in the distance. The cliff of flying souls was in the ocean. Good! Luli looked back and saw that Patriarch Fu was still thousands of miles away. Luli relaxed a bit. As long as he could enter the cliff of flying souls, he would be safer. He was not afraid of regular ghosts. No amount of ghosts could hurt him. But those patriarchs might not be fearless, right? Is that the cliff of flying souls? Another tens of thousands of miles later, Luli saw endless cliffs with many caves in them. Looking from the distance, Luli could see dark air billowing in the caves. He could sense the energy of demons from far away. That was indeed the lair of ghosts. Good! Luli was overjoyed. He spread his wings and flew on. However, he had only flown for 300 miles when his expression turned awful. He noticed that there were 7 people standing in the ocean near the cliff of flying souls. All of them were powerful and horrifying. 2 of them made Luli feel suffocated. Clearly, they were the 2 most powerful patriarchs in the Valley of Ghosts. Chapter 22-27. After Patriarch Hu gave Luli some pointers, he flew over. After Patriarch Fu sent the message, Patriarch Hu gathered people to wait here. Just because he was giving Luli pointers didn't mean he would do nothing. Otherwise, Patriarch Hu would not be able to answer to the higher-ups of the Hell Palace. He had brought people here to block the way, so that he could put on a show. They had done something, but the outcome was none of their business. He could not run away. When Luli saw Patriarch Hu, he knew he could not. If he were to force his way in, he would die a miserable death. What Luli had to do now was not to run but to negotiate. He had hostages and the Meng family was not here yet. The patriarchs would hold back. Therefore, Luli slowed down and flew toward the flying soul cliff. As soon as Luli moved, Patriarch Hua waved his hand. The 7 patriarchs spread out and surrounded Luli from afar. The encirclement was getting smaller. Buzzing, Luli's mountain glowed as Meng Li came out. Luli grabbed Meng Li's neck and shouted coldly, "Stay away or I will kill Meng Li." Meng Li was in a miserable state. His wounds were not fully recovered. There were scabs all over his body. His clothes were torn and his hair was disheveled. He looked like a completely different person from the handsome young master. Meng Li felt humiliated even though he knew this was inevitable and he was prepared for it. But what else could he do? His elixir was destroyed and his energy channels and soul were sealed by Luli. He couldn't even beg for death. "Young Master Meng! 4th Lu, you are courting death. How dare you disable young Master Meng? 4th Lu, let go of young Master Meng right now and you may be able to live. Otherwise, your entire family will die." 4th Lu, calm down. Several patriarchs shouted. They had a good relationship with the Meng family. 2 of them relied on the Meng family to get to their current positions. Meng Li was their young master. They were furious to see him in such a miserable state. "Don't move." Luli glanced over and shouted, "Meng Li will die if anyone comes closer. Don't say these useless things. I will die if I let him go. I am not that stupid. I'm all alone with no relatives or friends. If you want to kill my entire family, go ahead." None of the patriarchs dared to move. Luli had the courage to cripple Meng Li, kill Commander Chao and capture Commander Long. This indicated that Luli was a lunatic who dared to do anything. If everyone got closer, Meng Li would definitely die. A group of patriarchs looked at Patriarch Hua. Only Patriarch Hua alone might have the time to kill Luli in an instant so that he could not kill Meng Li. Patriarch Hua was expressionless. He looked at Luli with satisfaction. This young man was really something. He had guessed Patriarch Hua's thoughts at once and came to the Flying Souls Cliff. He was even more satisfied when Luli put Meng Li into the mountain. Now that Luli had put Meng Li away, he had a reason not to make a move. It could be said that he was afraid of harming the innocent. Sure enough, Luli shouted coldly, "There is a spirit beast in my interspatial artifact. Don't think about killing me instantly. If I die, he will carry out my orders and kill Meng Li." Buzz! Luli's mountain lit up. Following that, a surge of ferocious qi and energy spread out, covering an area with a radius of more than 300 miles. This was the qi and energy of the Phantom King. Luli wanted to frighten everyone with it. The patriarchs looked at each other, speechless. Many of them didn't sense the qi and energy of the Phantom King, but the beast's energy was powerful. It could at least kill Meng Li, let alone fight against them. That underage Phantom King was tamed by him? Patriarch Hua and Patriarch Yun looked at each other in astonishment. No wonder they couldn't find that Phantom King at the Phantom Mountain. It was tamed by Luli. What a talent! Patriarch Hua sighed. It was not a big deal to defeat an underage Phantom King, but to tame one was difficult. Not even Patriarch Hua could tame one. Since Luli could tame an underage Phantom King, maybe when he grew stronger, he could tame an adult Phantom King. If he could tame all the adult Phantom Kings here, then the Hell Palace's combat ability would be greatly enhanced. It was not difficult to defeat Phantom Kings. Powerful warriors of the Hell Palace could defeat Phantom Kings, but taming them was too difficult. Phantom Kings were highly intelligent. They had their own dignity and would not surrender to humans easily. Usually they would fight to the death. Even if they were captured, they would commit suicide. An underage Phantom King, even though its combat ability was not good now, could grow up after more than 10 years of training. If they could find the elixir they needed, then it would be easy to train them. Maybe they could grow up in just a few years. That meant they had a fighter at the later stage of the fourth tribulation realm, a fighter that was absolutely loyal. The patriarchs were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do. Maybe Patriarch Hua had the ability to kill Luli, but as soon as Luli died, his beast would kill Mengli in an instant. If Mengli died in front of a group of patriarchs, it would be a grave sin. When the higher-ups of the Hell Palace looked into it, all of them would have to bear the responsibility. Everyone looked at Patriarch Hua. Nobody dared to make a decision now. If they did, nobody would be able to bear the responsibility if something went wrong. After a while, Patriarch Hua said, "Fourth Brother Lu, you cannot run away. The exit to the ghost world is sealed. Powerful warriors of the Meng family are coming. Where can you run to? The higher-ups of the Meng family will not care about Mengli. They will kill you directly. Compared to Mengli, they care more about the dignity of the Meng family. That's their own business," Luli said coldly. "The Meng family will be here soon anyway. Just wait for a few days. I will not run away. I will stay in the cliff. How about that?" In the cliff? The patriarchs looked at each other, speechless. This was the Flying Souls Cliff, the lair of ghosts. According to a former master of the Hell Palace, there might be a phantom king here. He told the patriarchs not to go in at will. None of them paid much attention to the specters. For the old palace master to refer to them as the Spectre King, they were definitely on the same level as the Spectre King. Specters were capable of soul attacks, and while everyone's souls were quite strong, they would definitely not be able to withstand a particularly powerful attack. Luli was going to stay in the Flying Souls Cliff? Did he really think he could deal with the Phantom King just because he could kill ghosts? What was more, there were at least 8,000 ghosts, if not 10,000. How could Luli stop them? Patriarch Hua thought about it for a while. He looked at the patriarchs and asked, "What do you think?" The patriarchs communicated with each other. In the end, they had to let Luli go to the Flying Souls Cliff. They didn't dare to push him too far. Otherwise, if Luli killed Mengli, they would all have to bear the responsibility. Third Master of the Meng family had arrived at the Valley of Ghosts. He would be here in less than 2 days. They just had to hold on for 2 days to prevent Luli from running away. Then the rest would be Third Master of the Meng family's business. Punk. Chapter 22-28. The Biggest Cave? When Luli heard these words, not only was he not afraid at all, but he was also slightly excited. He looked at Elder Hua with a trace of gratitude. Of course, this trace of gratitude was fleeting and did not reveal too much. He instantly understood that the one who had warned him to come to the Soaring Soul Cliff was this old man. At this moment, he had secretly pointed out the exit, which was in the largest stone cave. Elder Hua saw Luli's eyes and a smile flashed in his eyes. It seemed that this child was smarter than he thought. Of course, the biggest cave was indeed dangerous. There were many ghosts there, and Luli didn't know if there was a ghost king. If there was, Luli would definitely die. For Patriarch Hua, he didn't care about Luli's life or death. Even if Luli didn't die in there, he would be killed by Third Master of the Meng family. If Luli could make it out, then it would prove that Luli was capable and lucky. Xiao! Luli flew toward the Cliff of Flying Souls. The patriarchs in front of him made way for him. Luli entered the Cliff of Flying Souls slowly. Dark fog covered the sky and psychic power was restricted. Soon, they lost sight of Luli. Could this be a trap? Luli thought about this problem while he was flying. This Elder Hua had deliberately chosen this path. If it was a trap, he would definitely die. However, after thinking about it, he realized that he had no other choice but to take the risk. Elder Hua. After Luli went in, a group of people surrounded him and started talking at once. Would Luli run away? Would he die in there? All right. Elder Hua waved his hand and said, "Stop chattering. What's there to say? If you don't let him in, Mengli will die." There was nothing they could do about it. They had to disperse and surround the soaring soul cliff and wait for Third Master Meng to deal with it. If he died inside, Mengli would be safe. He definitely wouldn't have the chance to order Mengli to be killed. Everyone nodded slightly. It seemed to make sense. If Luli died in there, Mengli would be safe. The ghosts attacked the soul, so Luli wouldn't even have the chance to give the order to kill Mengli. There was a passage that connected to the outside world. Only Elder Hua and Elder Yun knew about it. An elder of old Hua had once gone in and left through that passage. That elder solemnly warned them not to rashly enter. It was extremely dangerous inside. Patriarch Hua asked a group of patriarchs to spread out and surround the entire cliff of flying souls. Patriarch Hua also mobilized troops into the sea. The entire cliff of flying souls was tightly surrounded. It was impossible for Luli to sneak away. This was just a gesture for Third Master of the Meng family. It didn't matter whether Luli was surrounded or not. The ghost world was a cage. So what if Luli could escape from the Cliff of Souls? Nothing else mattered now that they had shown their stance. If Luli escaped or died in there or was killed by Brother 3 of the Meng family, it would have nothing to do with the patriarchs. I hope this kid can make it out. Elder Hua and Elder Yun were together. The two of them were flying slowly. They said they were patrolling around, but in fact they were just walking around and chatting. Elder Yun sighed. Elder Hua smiled and said, "Whether or not he can break out is his own business. Even if this person survives, he won't be a member of our Hell Palace. So for us, apart from watching a show, it doesn't have much meaning. It is good enough that we can watch a show." Elder Yun squinted. He grinned and said, "I really want to see Brother 3 of the Meng family flustered and exasperated. He has always been proud of himself. He always thought that the Meng family was the best in the Hell Palace, even better than the Su family. This time, the most outstanding disciple of the young generation of the Meng family was held hostage by a second tribulation warrior and his elixir was destroyed. When the news gets out, how can he face the world with his head held high?" "Ha ha ha!" Elder Hua laughed. There was a glint of anticipation in his eyes. All the plans were in place. Now it was up to Luli to prove himself. Luli did. He entered the soaring soul cliff. It wasn't just a bare cliff, but a huge stretch that stretched for tens of thousands of miles. There were many caves in the cliff, and this was where most of the ghosts gathered. When Luli got closer to the cliff, many ghost valleys flew out from the caves. Luli could tell that there were hundreds of ghost valleys. This was the outer area. How many were in the biggest cave? Woo woo! Luli released Ghastly Shadow. Ghastly Shadow was like a hungry wolf that had seen a lamb. It roared and rushed straight into the heart of the specters. Phantom was very powerful now. He could devour more than 10 ghosts at a time, which was very efficient. On the other side, the dragon soul was doing something as well. It killed the ghosts one by one and turned them into special energy. The energy stayed in Luli's mind for Phantom to absorb later. The energy would dissipate, but Luli didn't care. There were so many ghosts here that it was enough for Phantom to absorb. Whoosh! Luli rushed into a cave. For him, it made no difference whether there were dozens of ghosts or hundreds or thousands of ghosts. The dragon's soul could deal with all of them easily. It was pitch dark in the cave. The chi and energy of the ghosts made people uncomfortable. However, Luli had no other choice but to move forward. He didn't have much time. He must get out soon. Otherwise, when Brother 3 of the Meng family got here, he would have nowhere to go. Luli moved forward quickly with Phantom following him. The cave was so deep that he couldn't see the bottom. After walking for a while, he realized that there was a fork in the road. It seemed that many of the caves were connected. Luli frowned. He wanted to go to the biggest stone cave. If he went around in circles, he might get lost. What if he couldn't find the biggest cave? There was dark fog everywhere that could affect psychic power. Luli stopped in the cave. After Spectre Shadow devoured all the nearby haunted valleys, Luli walked out of the tunnel after some thoughts. Then he walked along the cliffs, trying to find the biggest cave. Woo woo woo, countless ghosts flew out from the caves. Luli didn't pay attention to them. He just flew along the cliff walls. The more ghosts there were, the more excited Phantom was. They were all his food. There were many ghosts, but Luli didn't have much time for Phantom to devour. Devouring took time. If Phantom wanted to devour all the ghosts here, it would take him a month or two. Time was of the essence. He must find the exit as soon as possible and leave the ghost realm. Only in this way could he have a chance to escape. Otherwise, when Brother 3 of the Meng family got here, what would be the point of finding the exit? Okay, found it. An hour later, Luli was overjoyed to see a huge cave in the distance. This cave was much larger than the ones he saw before. It was on a completely different level. The cave had a length, width, and height of several miles. It was the first time Luli had seen such a large cave. Woo woo. Chapter 22-29. Luli rushed forward. Ghost followed him reluctantly. There were so many ghosts outside. Ghost wanted to devour them all, but Luli didn't give it the time, which was driving it crazy. Luli rushed into the stone cave. There were still more ghosts coming out from the cave. 4 average warriors and even the patriarchs, these ghosts were fatal. But for Luli, they were like a flock of lambs, not threatening at all. His body floated forward like an arrow, bringing Ghost Shadow with him as he rushed into the depths of the cave. The deeper he went, the narrower the cave became. There were so many ghosts in the tunnel that it was like entering an ant's nest. Luli paid no attention to the ghosts and pressed on. After a couple of miles, he found a fork in the tunnel, and there were 3 of them at the same time. Well, someone has been here. Luli glanced over and his eyes lit up. He saw a hidden mark in one of the passageways. There was a faint scratch on the stone wall. Judging by the scratch, the mark must have been left a long time ago, at least thousands of years ago. If it weren't for the fact that Luli used the mark of Tao, he wouldn't have found it. Let's go. Luli didn't think for long. He followed the marked tunnel. It might be a wrong one, but it had been used before, so it should be safer. After running along the tunnel for hundreds of miles, Luli found another fork in the road. The tunnel was extending downwards. Luli found another tunnel with obscure markings. Let's go. Luli followed the mark and went down. The tunnel was extending downwards. There were no more forks in the tunnel. It went all the way down. Luli went on for hundreds of thousands of miles. There were specters all along the way. At the bottom, the black haze was even thicker. The atmosphere here was quite uncomfortable. But Luli had no other choice. He had to carry on because the way out might be down there. Another 3,000 miles later, Luli found a huge underground cave. After he walked around the plaza, he realized something. There was no exit. Did that mean this was a dead end? He followed the mark and came to a dead end? There were thousands of ghosts underground, and Ghost Shadow rushed down like a hungry tiger. Luli wandered around. He didn't believe that this was a dead end. There had to be an exit. He activated the marks of the Great Path and carefully sensed inside. However, after wandering around once, he didn't discover anything. The surrounding stone walls were all ordinary stone walls. He didn't detect any fluctuations of divine runes, and he didn't discover anything special. Retreat. Annoyed, Luli rushed back to the top of the cave. He had wasted a lot of time. The main reason was that he felt his body was being demonized under the influence of the qi and energy. Although it was just a feeling, this feeling was real. He believed that if he stayed here for a long time, his body would definitely have problems. Something's wrong, Luli stopped. He let Blood Fairy out and said, "Blood Fairy, go and have a look. See if there are any problems in the plaza." Blood Fairy immediately extended her tentacles into the ground and began to investigate the walls and the ground. Luli had a question. Since this was a dead end, why were there so many ghosts here? Where did these specters come from? Blood Fairy carefully examined the area. After half an hour, she transmitted her voice. Master, there is something strange underground. There is a spring underground, and there are ghosts coming out of it. Spring? Lu Li's eyes glowed. There was a spring underground. Did it mean that there was an exit? Since there were so many ghosts coming out of the spring, it might be the nest of the ghosts. It might be connected to the tunnel outside. Dig. Lu Li took out his weapon and began to dig. What happened next shocked him. He took out a relic weapon and began to dig. However, what he saw was nothing but regular stones. His relic weapon could not move them at all. How can this be? Lu Li couldn't figure it out. If the Cliff of Souls was made of such hard stones, then the entire Valley of Ghosts would have known about it. But he didn't hear anything about it. Whoosh! Lu Li dashed out after some thoughts. After he was dozens of miles away, he swung his weapon. The mud and stones on the stone wall were crushed into powder. So, it must be because of that spring. Lu Li turned around and walked towards the underground cave. When he reached the underground cave, he swung his fist and smashed at the ground with great force. The divine weapon was very sharp, but the fist contained great strength. It could even shatter a mountain with a single punch. Boom! The ground trembled violently, and then a big hole was blasted open. Lu Li was astonished again. The stones in the hole were slowly healing up. When a person was injured, the flesh would grow back. However, when the stones were smashed open, they would recover slowly. Fortunately, the speed was not fast. Otherwise, Lu Li would not have the courage to go down. Let's go. Lu Li observed for a moment to make sure that everything was fine. Then, he smashed his way down and created a tunnel in the ground. Soon, the tunnel closed up. Lu Li was trapped in the stones. Master, there is still some distance to go. 3,000 miles below you. Blood Fairy said. Lu Li was speechless. He did not expect the spring to be so deep. He felt he had gone to the deepest part of the sea, to the underworld. Did these specters come from the underworld? Naturally, Lu Li did not believe in the netherworld. He had a ghost in the relic. Ghost Shadow was a ghost. What was so scary about Ghost? Lu Li dashed down. The 3,000 miles were nothing for him. He smashed his way down. Soon, he found the underground spring. It was a large one, with a radius of over 3 miles. The spring water was rolling and a dark fog spread out. Many ghosts came out from the spring. When they saw Lu Li, they came over. Lu Li was surrounded by ghosts. Spirit Shadow was excited to the extreme. He quickly made his way through and then entered the netherworld spring. What? Lu Li was surprised. He noticed that Ghost Shadow was drinking the spring as if he was drinking water. Even though the speed was not fast, the spring water was decreasing. Ghost Shadow had absorbed quite a bit. This nether spring water has a very strong energy? Lu Li was surprised. He could sense that Ghost Shadow's energy was growing. Just like when Ghost Shadow ate ghosts for the first time, the increase in energy meant that Ghost Shadow's abilities were growing. Spirit Shadow's original strength was already very strong, but now it was still clearly becoming stronger. This meant that the energy contained within the netherworld spring was very strong. Good. Lu Li did not want to waste time. He did not even give Ghost Shadow time to eat the ghost. No matter how short of time was, Lu Li must feed Ghost Shadow. If Ghost Shadow's abilities could be elevated to a higher level, he might be able to inflict harm on a fourth tribulation warrior. Chapter 2230. Phantom's abilities were enough to threaten warriors at the peak of the third tribulation. Commander Long was affected. If Phantom's abilities could be further enhanced, then he could threaten warriors at the fourth tribulation. Therefore, Lu Li did not move. He stood there, waiting for Phantom to consume the spring. When Phantom's abilities were not so obvious, Lu Li could go down to the spring. Standing in midair, Lu Li had been using the Mark of Tao to sense the situation down there. It was said that there was a ghastly soul king in the Cliff of Souls. If so, he might be down there. Time moved on. Soon, half a day had passed. Phantom was still consuming the spring. Luli was not in a hurry. The Meng family should arrive in a day or so. He still had some time. What was more, even if the Meng family were here, could they find this place easily? The tunnel Luli came down from had been restored. There was no trace left. Even if someone did find this cave, they would not be able to find it. If there was any movement from the rocks above, Luli would be able to sense it. Well, let's wait. Luli decided to wait for a day or two until Phantom's abilities became less obvious after consuming the spring water. If Phantom's abilities could be improved by several times or dozens of times, Luli would have the confidence to challenge a warrior at the fourth tribulation. Right. Luli suddenly remembered something. The spring water seemed to be something extraordinary. He wondered if Phantom King could absorb it. If so, would it be helpful for his wounds? Luli asked Blood Fairy to talk to Phantom King at once. What the Phantom King said made Luli speechless. This Phantom King did not know what the spring water was. Buzzing, Luli let Phantom King out and threw him down to the spring. Phantom King looked at the spring water with confusion. His wings had not recovered yet, so he could not fly. He had to fall. Splash! The netherworld spring water splashed as the Phantom King fell into it. At first, it struggled a few times, but soon it stopped moving. A look of joy appeared on its face, and its body slowly sank into the water. Its aura was clearly becoming stronger, and the injuries on its body were rapidly recovering. Plop, plop! The Phantom King gulped down the nether spring water as if it was the most delicious wine in the world. As it drank more and more nether spring water, its claws and wings grew out rapidly. It was as if it had consumed a peerless divine medicine. What exactly is this nether spring water? Luli's curiosity was piqued. Not only could the Ghost King's abilities be enhanced, but it could also heal his wounds. It seemed that the Ghost King's abilities were still improving. Could this be the source of the dark energy? Luli could not figure it out. He didn't dare to do anything. He just waited quietly. Time passed quickly, and one day later, the Phantom King's injuries had completely healed. His claws and wings had grown back. Luli also noticed that the Phantom King's momentum was increasing and his body was growing. The Phantom King and Gui-ing continuously swallowed the dark spirit spring water, and the Phantom King did not seem to be afraid that his stomach would explode. Luli took out the mountain and began to collect the water. There was a main hall and several side halls in the mountain. Luli moved everything to the side hall, including Mengli and the others. He was going to fill the main hall with ghastly spring water. As the mountain moved, the amount of nether spring water decreased. The water level dropped. If it were not for the fact that the nether spring water was large enough, it would have been sucked up by the mountain. The water level dropped by more than 3 feet. The main hall of the mountain was filled up. Luli was satisfied. The nether spring water would be of great use to Gui-ing and the Phantom King. In the future, he would let them soak in the nether spring water and drink as much as they wanted. Another day passed by quickly. Gui-ing and the Phantom King were still consuming the nether spring water. That being said, their momentum had slowed down, very slowly. Gui-ing was more than 10 times stronger than before. Luli believed that for an average fourth tribulation warrior without a strong enchanted soul, Gui-ing could destroy their souls. The Phantom King had doubled in size. At first, he was only about 10 feet tall. Now, he was more than 20 feet tall. He was much stronger as well. Luli wondered how strong he was now. Luli realized that he could not put the Phantom King into the mountain. He asked Blood Fairy to talk to the Phantom King and see if he could shrink the Phantom King. Buzzing, the Phantom King flew up and shrank until he was as tall as Luli. The Phantom King stood behind Luli with respect. The Phantom King had a spiritual connection with Luli. The Phantom King was Luli's spiritual beast. The Phantom King was violent, but it dared not to hurt Luli. Time to go! Luli dared not to linger. He put away Gui Ing and the Phantom King and dashed into the Nether Spring. As soon as he entered the Nether Spring, he trembled as if he had fallen into a pot of boiling oil. Hiss, hiss, he flew out of the Nether Spring. His robe was corroded and his skin was red and swollen. Luli pulled a long face. Just now, he was injured as soon as he flew down. The Nether Spring was horrifying. No wonder Luli remembered Patriarch Hua's vague warning. No wonder Patriarch Hua said it was dangerous here. The Nether Spring alone could kill any average warrior who went in. Luli's body was strong and his defense was strong. How could an average Third Tribulation warrior survive? The Nether Spring is indeed a sacred medicine for creatures of darkness. But for us it is poison. Luli was troubled. He had nowhere else to go. He could not stay here forever. The Meng family would come sooner or later. Things would go wrong if he stayed here for too long, not to mention the qi and energy of the Nether Spring. Buzzing, Luli went into the mountain and tried to see if he could fly down. What happened next made him speechless. As soon as he entered the Nether Spring began to shake violently. He was shaken out from the mountain. This is strange. Let's do it. Luli made up his mind. He took out a piece of divine elixir from his interspatial ring and swallowed it. A stream of heat spread across his body. It was a top-level divine elixir that could heal his wounds at any time. Whoosh! Luli rushed down in a white blur. Soon, he began to groan in pain. But he didn't dare to make a sound because the Nether Spring would enter his mouth and corrode his internal organs. 250 miles, 3,000 miles, 1.5 miles. The Nether Spring hadn't reached the bottom yet. Luli's skin was corroded. His bones were exposed in many places. He was terrified. He believed that soon, all his muscles would be corroded and he would become nothing but a skeleton. When his internal organs were corroded, not even the divine elixir could save him. It was pitch dark, so dark that it was frightening. Apart from the ghosts, there was only the Nether Spring. It was so quiet that it was scary. Luli's psychic power was limited in here. He could only sense an area with a radius of more than 100 feet. 3,000 miles, 2.5 miles. Finally, Luli arrived at the bottom of the Nether Spring. He wandered around for a while. Soon, he trembled and he was shocked. Chapter 2231. The Ghost Realm was a shattered space. There were only 2 exits and both were at the Ministry of Hell. Outsiders could not come in. The soaring soul cliff was even more peculiar. There were too many specters here, and ordinary people definitely wouldn't be able to enter. Super experts wouldn't wander around here either. Even if someone found this place, who would build an altar underground? It must be noted, the spring here was horrifying. Average warriors could not stand it. To build an altar was even more difficult. Luli also noticed that the altar was not an exit. It didn't seem to be of any use. It seemed to be built purely for the purpose of offering sacrifices. To spend so much money and endure so much pain just to build a meaningless altar? Who would do that? Luli could not figure it out and he didn't have the time to think. He walked around the huge altar and found something else. There were some strange divine patterns on the altar. Luli had some understanding of divine patterns, but he still felt the divine patterns here were too complicated and abstruse. In a split of a second, Luli tried to memorize as many divine patterns as he could. When he used the trace of Tao, his perception was so strong that he could remember most of the divine patterns. Even though he couldn't remember them all, Luli didn't mind. He flew away to find an exit. He sped up to the extreme. Soon, his eyes glowed. He saw a dark hole. The water in the hole was still swirling. It was a whirlpool. If there was an exit, it must be here. Right at that moment, the water suddenly began to tremble. A sinister chi and energy came from the distance. It was as if a dark cloud had covered up the sky, suffocating him. Lu Li had been suffering from pain all over his body. However, at this moment, he felt cold all over. The pain was gone. There was only one feeling left: cold. Cold to the bone. From the depth of Lu Li's soul came a sense of fear, like a rabbit seeing its natural enemy, a hawk. Not only that, Lu Li also noticed that the dragon soul was wandering around in his soul. It was clearly agitated. Ghost Ship King. That was Lu Li's first thought and the only conclusion he could come to. To be able to appear in the Nether Spring with such terrifying power, it could only be the legendary Ghost King. Move! Lu Li wanted to rush towards the hole, but he felt he had lost control of his body. He could not move at all. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. The dragon soul was so anxious and uneasy, but the spectral soul king had yet to arrive. This meant that the dragon soul might not be able to withstand the spectral soul king. In the face of death, Lu Li's mind was exceptionally calm. Many thoughts flashed across Lu Li's mind. Soon, his mountain glowed as the Phantom King came out. The Phantom King grabbed Lu Li and dashed toward the cave. Lu Li's decision was wise. Spectre King and Ghastly Soul King were at the same level. Spectre King didn't seem to be afraid of Ghastly Soul King. He grabbed Lu Li and dashed into the swirl. Lu Li and Spectre King disappeared into the swirl. After a while, a shadow floated over from where Lu Li was. The shadow formed into a human shape in the water, a female one. Human? Phantom King? The spring water near the woman automatically parted, and the woman actually spoke the human language. However, her words were very choppy, without a trace of human emotion. Her brows furrowed slightly as she murmured to herself, "Why would the Dark Spirit Monarch help humans? Has the Spectre King race declined to such an extent?" Buzzing, a moment later, the woman turned into black mist and drifted into the distance, disappearing into the Netherworld Spring. The Netherworld City was a medium-sized city of the Hell Island. It was not far away from the Valley of Ghosts on the coast of the east. The city owner was a patriarch of the Hell Island. His name was Su Ning, a warrior of the Fourth Tribulation. He had the habit of drinking afternoon tea. Of course, it was not regular afternoon tea. He would have a special tea in his concubine's room. He had more than 300 concubines and was quite famous in the Hell Island. If it were not for the fact that he was from the Su family, his position as the city owner would have been taken away. While he was drinking tea, Su Ning was fighting in 4 directions on the bed. He was really fighting in 4 directions because there were 4 concubines in 4 directions. While he was fighting, Su Ning suddenly trembled. Coldness rose in his eyes and he felt his hair standing on end. Whoosh! He grabbed a robe, and ignoring the resentful gazes of the 4 concubines, he directly flew up to the roof. He looked up at the sky above the city with a look of fear on his face. Not only him, all the warriors in the city felt their hair standing on end. Buzzing, a crack opened in the sky. Then an extremely ferocious aura spread out and enveloped everyone in the city. A huge black monster dashed out from the crack. It had blood-red eyes, a tall and straight body, a whip-like tail, powerful wings, and most importantly, a cold and gloomy aura. All the soldiers in the city felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Spirit King. Although Su Ning was not a core warrior of the Su family, he knew some secrets. Looking at the huge Spirit King, his soul was trembling. The Spirit King was an existence that could only be suppressed by a warrior at the peak of the Fourth Tribulation. Su Ning's strength was probably not enough. Why did a Spirit King appear in the sky? Su Ning couldn't figure it out. He only knew that the Netherworld City was finished. This Spirit King would start a massacre and kill everyone in the city. No one would be able to escape. Something is not right. Su Ning looked down and suddenly found a problem. There was a person in the Spirit King's hand. And this person could no longer be called human. This person's muscles had been corroded. He looked like a skeleton. A phantom king appeared with a skeleton in his hand. The eyes of the skeleton were still moving? This strange situation made the people in the city feel extremely strange. In the next moment, that person moved. His charred lips wriggled as he said, "Where is this place? Speak or die." The Spirit King didn't kill anyone? The skeleton could speak? Many people felt their hair stand on end. Su Ning didn't dare to dawdle. He immediately replied, "My lord, this is the Netherworld City. Don't tell anyone about me. Keep it a secret for at least one day. If not, I will come and massacre the city. I will do what I say," the skeleton said. Then, the Spirit King flapped his wings and flew toward the north. He was so fast that ordinary people couldn't see him clearly. After the Phantom King left, everyone in the city felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. Even Su Ning felt as if his entire body was drenched in sweat. "Seal the city." He reacted quickly and shouted, "Everyone in the city, listen up. Don't tell anyone about this. I will report to the elder residents in a day." Some people were hesitant, but they didn't dare to disobey Su Ning's order. Some people also understood why Su Ning did this. If the Spirit King returned, everyone in the city would die. Su Ning's 300-odd concubines would also die. As for hiding the enemy's information, Su Ning was a member of the Su clan. This matter couldn't be done to him. He had his reasons. At most, he would be scolded and punished. If he dared to report this matter, once the Spirit King and that mysterious formidable martial artist returned, this city would be gone. What was the point of living as the city lord? What's more, although the Spirit King was fast, he couldn't fly too far. Netherworld City? It's 2 or 3 days away from the sea. I hope everything goes well. As long as I can go out to sea, I will be able to live. Chapter 2232. Third Master Meng was furious. As the elder of the Hell Palace's battle hall, Third Master Meng was famous in the Hell Palace and even the entire Rakshasa Sea. He had been conceited to the extreme all his life, and his authority in the Underworld Palace was also very strong. Some time ago, during the battle with the Rakshasa Palace, he patted his chest and vowed to defeat the Rakshasa Palace. In the end, both sides fought to a stalemate and the Hell Palace suffered heavy casualties, which made him feel very embarrassed. Now, another incident had happened, which made him feel even more embarrassed. The first young master of the Meng family's younger generation had been held hostage by a wretch, a two-tribulation divine god? Even though the news had yet to spread, Third Master Meng was enraged when he heard the news. It would have been better if he had been held hostage by a four-tribulation divine god, but if the news of a two-tribulation divine god spread, where would the entire Meng family put their face? Third Master Meng did not send anyone over, nor did he make the matter public. Instead, he dealt with the matter alone and rushed to the Ghost Valley. He wanted to deal with the matter personally. If it was difficult to save Mengli, he did not mind killing the wretch and Mengli together. Elder Yang personally received him and accompanied him into the Ghost Valley, flying to the Soaring Soul Cliff. On the other side, Elder Hua had surrounded the Soaring Soul Cliff with a group of people. All the soldiers were there, surrounding the cliff from the sky to the ground. Not even a mosquito could fly out. When Third Master Meng and Elder Hua met, they immediately felt sparks fly. Their eyes were filled with hostility, and the space around them seemed to freeze. An invisible killing intent spread around them. Third Master Meng glanced at Elder Hua coldly and shouted, "Sixth Brother Hua, is this how you act as a guardian elder? You can't absolve yourself from the blame for what happened in the Ghost Valley. You brought so many people in, but you still failed to take down that traitor. What's the use of keeping you?" Third Master Meng's words were very domineering. With his status, it was not wrong to say such words. However, this was a matter of the Meng family. Old Master Hua and Third Master Meng had always been at odds. It would inevitably give people the feeling that Third Master Meng was using his power to oppress others. Old Hua smiled. He looked like a kind old man, but there was a trace of mockery in his eyes. He said lightly, "Third Master Meng, what are you talking about? I don't care about the specific affairs of the Ghost Valley. Your grandnephew sneaked in to play. Do I have to follow him around every day? I did bring many people with me this time, but that brat has a phantom king, so I can indeed kill him. The problem is that your grandnephew will die as well. I don't dare to do such a thing. When the time comes, you can go to the elder's mansion and complain about me, saying that I caused the death of your grandnephew. I can't bear such a crime." Old Hua's words were light, but there was a needle hidden in the silk floss. Every word was sarcastic. Third Master Meng's eyes burned with anger, but he couldn't find a way to refute Elder Hua. There were many things that everyone was well aware of, but they could not be brought out in public. "Humph!" Third Master Meng snorted. He waved his hand and ordered, "All patriarchs, go into the Cliff of Flying Souls and search for Fourth Master Lu. Send me a message when you find him. I will go and finish him myself." "Move." Old Hua waved his hand. All the patriarchs moved out. After they flew into the Cliff of Flying Souls, Old Hua and Patriarch Yun looked at each other. Both had a light smile on their faces. If Luli was lucky and powerful, he would have escaped by now. They were just going around as per usual. After a while, there would be news that Luli had escaped. Once Luli got out, the matter would be out of control. The Meng family would be disgraced as well. That was their goal, to humiliate the Meng clan. That would make them happy, and it could be said that they had gotten their revenge. A group of patriarchs were moving around in the cave. Everyone was protected by phantom spirit. The powerful patriarchs went to the big caves, and the weak ones to the small ones. Many people were surprised. How could Luli fight against so many ghosts? They searched for half a day but found nothing. There was no body or trace. A day later, Old Hua and the others found something. In a tunnel above the spring in the biggest cave, Luli smashed a stone wall, leaving a lot of rubble. Old Hua and Patriarch Yun went to the underground cave but found nothing. Luli was nowhere to be found, neither was his body. The two of them searched the vicinity for a while more before coming out with satisfaction. They didn't find Luli or his body, which meant that Luli might have escaped. They continued to wander around leisurely inside. They reckoned that the news would come soon. A day and a half later, a jade talisman in Patriarch Yang's hand cracked. He flew out at once. One of his subordinates sent a message. Patriarch Yang put on a bitter face. "Third Master." He flew to a small island nearby where Third Master Meng was waiting for the news. He walked to Third Master Meng and said with a bitter smile, "Fourth Master Lu has escaped from the Ghost Realm." Third Master Meng opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He said angrily, "Isn't the exit sealed? Is there a spy among you? Brother 6 of Hua family let him go?" "No," Patriarch Yang shook his head with a bitter smile. "He didn't leave from the exit. I think he escaped from another exit of the Flying Souls Cliff. I heard that there is an exit at the Flying Souls Cliff. He appeared at the Netherworld City. Many people in the city saw him. He is running to the sea now. Netherworld City." Third Master Meng's face was clouded. Meng Li's death didn't mean much to the Meng family. But when the news spread out, the Meng family would be disgraced. Many people were already dissatisfied with him, and they would use this to suppress the Meng family. Boom. The more Third Master Meng thought about it, the angrier he became. He slapped the ground. The entire island shook and cracked. Third Master Meng flew up in rage and flew toward the exit. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Patriarch Hua and the others at the Flying Souls Cliff sensed the commotion and came out. Looking at Patriarch Yang, Patriarch Hua put on a gentle smile. Patriarch Hua. Patriarch Yang looked at Patriarch Hua from afar and sent a voice transmission. You did something in the middle, didn't you? You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Patriarch Hua snorted and sent a voice transmission. Patriarch Yang, which eye of yours saw me doing something? You need evidence to speak and do things. If you slander me like this, do you believe that I will go to the elder residence to report you? All right, I don't want to fight with you. Patriarch Yang was too lazy to argue with Patriarch Hua. He shook his head and sighed as he flew toward the Ghost Valley. He was afraid that he would be reprimanded by the elder residents after this. He regretted agreeing to let Mengli come here. He was the elder in charge. He couldn't escape responsibility. Ha! Patriarch Hua and Patriarch Yun looked at each other. Their eyes were full of smiles. Patriarch Hua sighed faintly and sent a voice transmission. This kid is really good. He actually escaped. Now it depends on how far he can escape. The longer he escapes, the greater the impact of this matter, the better. It's best to carry Mengli in your hands and walk around the world. What a pity for a talent! Chapter 2233. It was Su Ning who reported Lu Li's whereabouts. But she was one day late, which bought enough time for Lu Li. Otherwise, Lu Li would have been discovered and killed. In a day and a half, Lu Li's wounds were healed. He seemed to be in a miserable state, but his wounds were not serious. His bones were not broken, his organs were not hurt, and his soul was not damaged. Technically speaking, it was just superficial wounds. Lu Li had some top-level elixirs and he consumed some. His body was resilient to begin with. In a day and a half, his wounds were almost healed. Lu Li was not far away from the coast. If he flew at full speed, he could reach the coast in half a day. But now, he felt it would take him several days. He had already put away the Phantom King. If he didn't, he would have been discovered. He covered himself in the black robe and flew away like a ghost, using the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings at all times. This would be exhausting. But if he didn't do this, he would not be able to leave because many scouts were on his trail. These were not ordinary scouts either, but elite scouts. The number of scouts was not dozens or hundreds, but at least thousands. That was why Lu Li felt it would take him several days. At the Netherworld City, Su Ning would not be able to mobilize those scouts. They must have been sent out by an important person. Everything was clear. An important person of the Meng family had made a move to capture Lu Li. Lu Li was heading to the north. This was a diversion, but the enemies did not fall for it. The Netherworld City was by the coast. Lu Li did not go to the sea but to the north. Was he out of his mind? The higher-ups of the Meng family knew very well that if Lu Li wanted to escape, he had to go to the sea. Only in this way could he survive. Therefore, the scouts were all gathered here, which made it difficult for Lu Li to move forward. No matter how difficult it was, he had to go. If he didn't go to the sea, he would be discovered sooner or later at the Hell Island. Going to the sea was the only way. Lu Li exerted the trace of the Great Path to keep an eye on the surroundings. Once a scout approached, he would go around at once. Half a day later, Lu Li's wounds were almost healed. Of course, it would take him another day to fully recover. The scar on his face was not gone yet. There were more scouts. Lu Li's mind was weighed down. How many people had the Meng family mobilized? Why does it feel endless? After another half a day, Lu Li stopped. They were not far away from the seaside. It would only take them a couple of hours to fly at full speed. However, Lu Li didn't even dare to move. This was because there were people everywhere in front of them. Not only were there scouts, but there were also warriors and even people from special races. It was obvious that there was a defensive line in front of them. There were people in the sky and on the ground. It would be very difficult to sneak in. Lu Li was in deep thoughts. After a while, he figured it out. There were only 4 paths in front of him. The first option was to continue moving stealthily. However, there was a high chance that he would be discovered. There were people everywhere, and there would definitely be special methods to identify them. If he wanted to sneak in, it would be extremely difficult. The second option was to summon the Phantom King and have it carry him through the ocean. If the Phantom King flew at full speed, it would most likely be able to reach the surface of the ocean in half a day. As long as he entered the ocean, he would have a chance to escape. The third option was to retreat and find a place to hide. After this storm was over, he would think of a way to escape from Hell Island. The fourth option was to take Mengli hostage and let her lead the way. Let's see if the Meng family would be afraid of her. This was risky. What if the Meng family didn't care about Meng Li's life and only wanted him dead? What if the powerful warriors of the Meng family could kill him in an instant? Actually, there was another way. Lu Li had a piece of treasure on him, the Godspeed boat. There were not many Godspeed boats in the entire third heaven. Lu Li didn't think even the master of the Hell Palace had one. The Godspeed boat was slower than teleportation. If he took the Godspeed boat, he could get out in 2 hours at most. The problem was that the Godspeed boat was too precious. Once he was exposed, all the powerful warriors of the Hell Palace would take actions. If the news got out, the powerful warriors of the Palace of Rakshasa would come after him. By then, he wouldn't be able to survive even if he had 9 lives. Therefore, after much consideration, Lu Li decided to keep a low profile. He would go back and hide from the storm first. He figured out one thing. The higher-ups of the Hell Palace wouldn't care about this. It was only the powerful warriors of the Meng family who were after him. In other words, there wouldn't be powerful warriors like patriarchs of the Fourth Tribulation to hunt him down. At best, there would be some powerful warriors of the Meng family. Those powerful warriors wouldn't join the hunt in person. They would only send out scouts. Lu Li was confident that the scouts could hunt him down. The Hell Palace didn't know much about him. It would be difficult for them to hunt him down. Lu Li stepped back slowly. It was difficult to move forward and it was difficult to move back, especially when he had consumed too much of his spiritual energy. He was going back to the southwest. He wanted to go back to a small city near the Netherworld City, the Yellow Dragon City. The most dangerous place was the safest. No place in the wild was safe. In the city, crooks and honest folk were mixed together. It was easier for him to hide. As long as he could hide for a couple of months, the Meng family would think he had gone out to sea. By then, they would search for him at sea and he would be safe. Lu Li ran at full speed and spent a lot of energy. 2 days later, he finally arrived at the small city. He didn't go in rashly. Instead, he wandered around nearby. He needed an identity and an ID token so that he wouldn't stand out when he went in. He wandered around and found a scout. It was a piece of cake for him to capture this scout. Lu Li dashed over, grabbed the scout's neck, and took him into the mountain. What happened next was simple. The worms of the void were sent out and the scout confessed everything. This person was a scout of Yellow Spring City, a scout of the lowest level, an inconspicuous small fry. This kind of person was the easiest to disguise. Nobody would notice if he stayed in the city. Lu Li changed into the scout's robe and disguised himself. Then, he swaggered toward the Yellow Dragon City. There were guards at the city gate. Entry and exit had to be checked. At the city gate, Lu Li was more humble. After all, he was only a scout of the lowest level. There was a commander here. He waved his ID token. The warriors didn't search him. They just waved Lu Li in. Recently, there were scouts everywhere, going in and out. The soldiers were already used to it. Lu Li was just about to enter the city when he heard a noise coming from the distance. A huge battleship whooshed over and arrived above the city in an instant. Battleship? Lu Li cringed. He could tell there were powerful warriors in the battleship. There should be warriors of the Fourth Tribulation. There were many warriors on the battleship. Needless to say, this was a battleship of some big shot. Luli scanned the city with psychic power. He didn't dare to use psychic power. He just stood there with respect, praying that he didn't see anyone he knew. All of a sudden, Luli's expressions changed. He sensed a familiar psychic power locked onto him. That psychic power had locked onto him many times. It was Su Yueqin, the goddess of the Hell Palace. Fourth Brother Lu. Chapter 2234. Su Yueqin was not here for fun. She was here to get revenge on Luli. He and Meng Li could be said to be childhood sweethearts. Meng Li was both her friend and her pursuer. Their relationship was very complicated. She knew that Meng Li went to the Valley of Ghosts. She understood that Meng Li was trying to help her. Now that Meng Li was in trouble, she had to do something. She hated Luli to the core. She wanted to send him to the Valley of Ghosts to kill him. Little did she know that Luli was living a comfortable life. She was happy that Meng Li was helping her. She could not sit still when the news about Meng Li spread out. Luli, a bastard, had rebelled against her? How dare he disable Meng Li and take her hostage? She was the cause of all this. Naturally, she wanted to put an end to it. Therefore, she teleported to the Netherworld city and flew over on a battleship. When they passed by a small city, a patriarch wanted to get some information. There were many people in the city, so he had to use psychic power to check. Su Yueqin took a look and found Luli at once. She had a deep impression of Luli. Even though Luli was in disguise, she was able to detect his chi and energy and confirm his identity. She wasn't even sure if she had the Star Moon divine body, but she knew that she was different from others in some aspects. For example, when it came to scouting people, she could easily recognize them no matter how they disguised themselves. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! There were hundreds of warriors on the battleship and 2 patriarchs of the Fourth Tribulation. Even though brother 3 of the Meng family was here, the Su family was still worried that the goddess would act alone. Therefore, they sent 2 regular patriarchs to protect her. All the warriors were shocked. The 2 patriarchs glared at Luli coldly. The warriors around Luli were scared. They had been looking for him all over the world. Little did they know that Luli was here. They almost let him into the city. Hoi! A leader next to Luli reacted quickly. He unsheathed his saber and cut at Luli's head. He almost caused a disaster. Now that the goddess was here, he would die for sure if he did not try his best to remedy the situation. Boom! Luli swung his fist. The horrifying strength knocked away the leader's saber. Luli's fist continued forward and landed on the leader's chest. Boom! This commander flew into the air, a bloody hole in his chest. His bones and internal organs were all shattered, and it seemed like he wouldn't be able to survive. Even though Luli had killed a leader at the later stage of the Third Tribulation realm with one punch, he was not happy at all. Instead, he was solemn. Many thoughts flashed through his mind as he analyzed the situation and tried to find a way out. Now that his whereabouts had been discovered, it was impossible for him to hide. He reckoned that countless experts would soon swarm over here. It would be a dream for him to hide. Since there was no way to hide, there was only one way left, and that was to escape. Escape from Hell Island. There were 2 ways to escape. The first was to use the Phantom King to escape, and the second was to use the Godspeed boat to escape. Both methods had their pros and cons. The first method might allow him to be intercepted by the powerhouses of the Meng clan. The second method would make him a target of scorn. The entire Devil Sea would begin to hunt him down. Neither of the 2 options was a good one. Luli was in a dilemma. While Luli was struggling, Su Yueqin and the 2 patriarchs didn't. The 3 of them flew over in 3 streaks of white light, trying to kill Luli directly. The 2 patriarchs were average patriarchs, but as far as they were concerned, Luli was just a nobody that they could kill at any time. They could kill a warrior at the peak of the Third Tribulation realm, let alone the second tribulation realm. As for the Phantom King, the two patriarchs didn't believe it. They thought it was some kind of illusion created by Luli. How could a warrior at the second tribulation subdue a Phantom King? That was a bit too much. Seeing Su Yueqin running towards him, Luli made a crazy decision in a split second. He would kill the two patriarchs and capture Su Yueqin. Taking Mengli as a hostage didn't seem to make much sense. But Su Yueqin was different because she was a goddess. She was the legendary body of stars and moon, which was very important to the Hell Palace. If he could capture Su Yueqin, he believed that nobody would dare to do anything to her in front of the powerful warriors of the Meng family. By then, he could swagger out of Hell Island. Having made up his mind, Luli acted swiftly and decisively. With a turn of his body, he grabbed a few soldiers and threw them high up into the air to stop them from approaching. After throwing out a few people, he used the unfettered steps and ran away without looking back. Yes, he ran away. He didn't take action right away because Su Yueqin and the two patriarchs were all at the fourth tribulation realm. He could be killed if he was not careful. Naturally, he wouldn't run into the wild, which would be suicidal. He dashed into the city. The Hell Palace was filled with their people. Luli didn't have any concerns. Su Yueqin and the two patriarchs couldn't just kill people in the city. As long as the three of them were restrained, Luli would have a chance. He went directly to the mansion of the mayor, which had the most people. There were thousands of warriors in the mansion of the mayor. Whoosh! The two patriarchs and Su Yueqin went after him at once. They were enraged to see Luli running into the mansion of the mayor. But the two patriarchs were scornful. Did Luli think that they couldn't kill him because he ran into the crowd? The two patriarchs dashed into the mansion of the mayor. One of the patriarchs shouted, "Spread out!" The two patriarchs didn't mind if some average warriors killed Luli by mistake. What was more, they didn't plan on using long-range attacks. As long as they could get close to Luli, it would be a piece of cake to kill him. Whoosh, 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 the warriors of the mansion of the mayor recognized the jade talismans the patriarchs had. Many of them flew to all sides. Su Yueqin wanted to go down, but there were too many people, and it was too messy. She decided to stay in midair to control the situation and see where Luli could run to. Good! Luli was delighted to see that Su Yueqin didn't come down. It would be easier for him to kill the two patriarchs. Su Yueqin had a fragment of a holy weapon which was so powerful that Luli didn't have the courage to go after her first. He dashed into a castle, and so did the two patriarchs. One of them had a spear in his hand and the other had claws. They were as fast as ghosts and they attacked almost at the same time. Nice! Luli sneered to himself, but he put on a frightened expression. The mountain in his hand glowed and a man appeared in his hand. Luli grabbed the man's neck and blocked the spear coming at him from the left. At the same time, the mountain glowed again. A shadow came out and dashed toward the patriarch on the right. As soon as the shadow came out, a surge of horrifying chi and energy spread across the entire city. What? Countless soldiers who flew up trembled, and their eyes were filled with fear. This was the instinctive fear that humans had towards powerful creatures. Young Masterly? The patriarch with a spear on the left saw Luli carrying a man and smashing towards him. When the patriarch saw who it was, his spear trembled in fear. He was just a regular patriarch and his status was much lower than Mengli's. Mengli was the most powerful warrior among the young generation of the Meng family. The other patriarch was scared out of his wit. He had never seen a Phantom King, not to mention a Phantom King that was so small. He didn't know that the Phantom King had only shrunk. Be it small or big, the chi and energy of the Phantom King had frightened him. He felt he was facing a warrior at the later stage of the fourth tribulation or even at the peak. Chapter 2235. This Phantom King was an underage one. His abilities were only at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation. Yet, the Phantom King escaped from Feng Biao. This Phantom King was not very strong. But in the Spirit Spring, the Phantom King consumed a lot of Spirit Spring water, which increased his abilities. Now, he was more powerful than before and his size was twice as big. He should be at the middle stage of the Fourth Tribulation. The Patriarch was at the initial stage of the Fourth Tribulation, and he was frightened by the Phantom King. Naturally, his reaction speed was slowed down. He was so close to the Phantom King. The result was predictable. Swish, the Phantom King dashed to the side of the Patriarch. Finally, the Patriarch came back to his senses. He knew he could not run away. With a blue glare, a pair of gloves appeared on his arms. He smashed at the Phantom King's chest with his fists. Swish, the sound of something tearing through the air rang out, and the Spectre Monarch's claws shot forth like lightning, grabbing the arms of the Elder. Its claws shone with black light, giving off a heart-palpitating cold light. With a sound of bones cracking, the Patriarch's arms were reduced to a mist of blood. Then, the claws reached in and scratched the Patriarch's head and chest. Ah! A miserable cry sounded out. It was an extremely mournful and painful sound that spread throughout the entire city. Countless divine wills swept over, only to see that their elder's head had been crushed, and there was a bloody hole in his chest. He had been instantly killed. The other elder's attention was originally on Mengli. After hearing the scream, he immediately looked up. He immediately raised his head in fear. When he saw that the other elder had been killed in an instant, his entire face became extremely ugly. Buzzing, Lu Li's ghost bead glowed. The phantom shadow whooshed out and enveloped the Patriarch in an instant. The Patriarch felt a chill as he felt an evil presence had entered his soul. He had an enchanted soul in his soul, and so did all the Patriarchs. They were all given by the Hell Palace. However, he was not valued in the Hell Palace. He was not strong and his enchanted soul was only of the 4th rank. The Phantom Shadow had consumed so much Spirit Spring water that his abilities had soared. The Phantom Shadow could fight against that enchanted soul. Naturally, the Phantom Shadow could affect the Patriarch's soul. Swish, the Phantom King rushed over, and the Elder's soul was affected, so he couldn't react in time. The Spirit King's claws grabbed onto the Elder's chest and slid upwards. The Elder's head flew into the air as another Elder was killed. Hiss, hiss. Many people in the city gasped. 2 Patriarchs and 2 warriors of the 4th Tribulation were extremely powerful to many people in the city. How could Lu Li kill 2 of them at once? Shock, doubt, fear, panic. Countless emotions filled the hearts of the people in the city. If even the 2 elders could not withstand it, then who could withstand this monster? If the monster killed people in the city, the Yellow Dragon City would soon become a ghost city. How could he possibly tame the Spectre King? Su Yueqin's eyes were filled with disbelief. In her eyes, Lu Li was just a nobody, a nonentity with a temper at best. To the high and mighty goddess, a mere commander of the Hell Palace was indeed nothing. With a single order from her, she could decide whether he lived or died. She didn't expect that this nonentity could shake the world and kill the 2 Patriarchs that were protecting her. How could she believe this? Not even the most powerful warriors of the Hell Palace could tame the Phantom King. How could Lu Li do it? Whoosh, 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 she was stunned, but the hundreds of escorts with her were not. They were all scared now that the 2 Patriarchs were dead. They were not afraid that they would be killed as well, but that something might happen to Su Yueqin. Hundreds of escorts flew over and surrounded Su Yueqin. An old lady pulled Su Yueqin and said, "Immortal lady, run." Su Yueqin had many treasures on her, including the fragment of a holy weapon. Even so, her abilities were not much different from a regular warrior of the 4th Tribulation. She might be more powerful than the 2 Patriarchs, but she was too noble to take the risk. If anything happened to Su Yueqin, everyone's family would die. Su Yueqin was still in a daze. She was hesitating, wondering if she should make a move. She was not afraid of fighting against warriors, but she was scared to fight against a phantom king. Also, there was the phantom shadow. Girls were always afraid of demons. Being grabbed by the old lady, Su Yueqin flew away out of instinct. How could Lu Li stand by and watch Su Yueqin run away? He grabbed the interspatial rings of the two patriarchs and put away the phantom shadow. Then, Lu Li jumped onto the phantom king's shoulder. The phantom king's body grew larger. The wings on his back were unfolded. He chased after Su Yueqin like an arrow. Lu Li was secretly delighted that Su Yueqin was running away into the wild. He could kill all of Su Yueqin's escorts in the wild and then use the relic. Su Yueqin had the fragment of a holy weapon. If Lu Li wanted to fight against her, he would have to use it. If there were too many people, he would be exposed. The holy weapon was his trump card, and he could not expose it easily. Stop him! Seeing that Lu Li was coming after her, the old lady shouted to the escorts nearby. She knew very well that the escorts could not stop Lu Li. They could only buy him some time so that Su Yueqin could run away. Charge! Hundreds of escorts rushed over. In their eyes, they were ready to die. They were no match for Lu Li. They would be courting death if they charged forward. That being said, they had to. If Su Yueqin died, not only would they die, but so would their families. Lu Li sneered. For him, a bunch of small fries would only buy him some time. He released the phantom shadow and told the phantom king to charge forward. Lu Li himself did the same. Bang bang bang! Boom boom boom! Wherever the phantom shadow went, warriors would fall with miserable cries. Lu Li and the phantom king were killing in a violent way. Lu Li would kill one warrior with one punch, and the phantom king would kill one warrior with one claw. In the time for 10 breaths, the 300 or 400 warriors were all dead. Lu Li hopped onto the back of the phantom king and went after Su Yueqin. Su Yueqin was fast, but she was only at the initial stage of the fourth tribulation. Compared to the phantom king, she was nothing. The phantom king's forte was speed. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, Lu Li had caught up with Su Yueqin and the old lady. The old lady was only at the peak of the third tribulation. Seeing that Lu Li was coming, she shouted, "Lady, run! I will stop this bastard!" She dashed toward Lu Li in a blur. Her violent energy made her look like a fire phoenix. Su Yueqin hadn't run away yet. She watched as the phantom king dashed away and the old lady turned into a mist of blood. She was no match for the phantom king. Su Yueqin didn't run away. She knew she could not run away given her speed. If that was the case, then she had to fight to the death. She took out the Heaven-Universe sword. Glaring at Lu Li coldly, she said with hatred, "Lu Si, I spared your life back then. I didn't expect that you would bite the hand that fed you. You want to kill me this time. I will have to kill you." Ha ha ha. Chapter 2236. Based on one's position, one would consider problems from that perspective. From Su Yueqin's point of view, Lu Li was just a pawn of the Hell Palace. Not only did he run away, but he also disobeyed orders and might be up to no good. Therefore, even though Lu Li did save her life, she did not feel indebted. Instead, she was enraged by Lu Li's arrogance. That was why she sent Lu Li to the Valley of Ghosts and wanted him to die in the Valley of Ghosts. She thought she had been merciful to Lu Li. She didn't send someone to kill Lu Li secretly, nor did she tell Patriarch Yang to trap and kill Lu Li secretly. That was why she said she spared Lu Li's life, and that he was biting the hand that fed him. From Lu Li's point of view, Su Yueqin was biting the hand that fed her. It was true that he disobeyed orders and tried to take Su Yueqin's treasures. But he never thought about killing her. Coincidentally, he saved Su Yueqin's life. This was a fact that could not be changed. But Su Yueqin bit the hand that fed her. Not only did she set him up, but Meng Li also wanted to kill him. He was a nobody. Should he just accept his death? Could he not fight back? Should he accept his death when some big shot wanted him dead? That was unreasonable. He didn't even want to reason with Su Yueqin. He could only live if he could capture her. Otherwise, what awaited him was death. Powerful warriors of the Meng family would come soon. Whoosh! Lu Li controlled the Phantom King to fly away and Ghost Shadow to fly in another direction. He took out the Cauldron of Thousand Transformations and released the Slayer's Ghost Cut, using the might in heaven and earth to suppress her. On the other hand, Lu Li released Worms of the Void that were everywhere. The girl must be afraid of worms. The worms could not hurt her, but they could affect her. Su Yueqin felt the pressure, especially the Phantom King and the worms. They were disgusting to look at. Su Yueqin was so scared that she turned pale. Her dress glowed. She was still wearing that white dress, which was a piece of defensive equipment. Back in the days, she relied on it to fend off many attacks from Demon Xia. Swish! The Slayer's Ghost Cut whooshed on. Su Yueqin was slowed down by the might in heaven and earth. On the other side, Ghost Shadow and the Spectre King were attacking from the left and right. Coupled with the swarm of insects, Su Yueqin was starting to panic. Su Yueqin wasn't just a pretty face either. She didn't hesitate to use the Tianyu sword. Both of the elders had died at the hands of the Phantom Monarch, and if the Phantom Monarch were to get close to her, she was confident that she wouldn't be able to defend herself with her defenses alone. The Tianyu sword lit up with rays of light, and a vast divine might spread out, causing the surrounding space to ripple. Clearly, the Universe Sword was stronger than Lu Li's relic iron. The Universe Sword was a broken sword that was refined and nurtured by generations of masters of the Palace of Hell. Even though the Universe Sword was not as powerful as an Imperial weapon, it was still horrifying. A streak of multicolored light shot out and shot toward the Spectre King. For her, the Phantom King was the biggest threat. She was not afraid of Phantom or Lu Li. As a goddess, her soul was naturally protected by a demon soul. Moreover, it was a very high-grade demon soul of the 6th rank. Su Yueqin believed that the demon soul could defeat Phantom. As for Lu Li himself, Su Yueqin didn't think highly of him. What could a warrior of the Second Tribulation Realm do? Lu Li's Ghost Slayer landed on her but didn't inflict any harm on her. Swish! A ray of multicolored light flew over. It was so fast that the Spectre King was too close to dodge. The Spectre King had to move to the side at the critical moment. The Spectre King was frightened. As soon as he sensed the energy of the holy weapon fragment, he was scared. It was Lu Li who almost killed the Spectre King with the holy weapon fragment. Therefore, when the Spectre King noticed that the holy weapon fragment was being used, he moved to avoid most of the rays of light. Even so, some of the rays still landed on his left shoulder. One of the Spectre King's arms was crushed, and so was his left shoulder. The Spectre King let out a shrill cry of pain. Wu Wu Guiying flew over from the other side, turned into a black shadow, and rushed into Su Yueqin's body. Su Yueqin felt her entire body turn cold. An evil aura filled her entire body, causing her to feel extremely uncomfortable. Goosebumps appeared all over her body, and even her hair was trembling. This kind of extremely uncomfortable aura made Su Yueqin feel as if she had been thrown into a stinky ditch. That feeling almost made her crazy and collapse. The ghostly shadow crazily drilled into Su Yueqin's soul and began to invade her soul. The demon soul inside her soul rushed out. What shocked Su Yueqin was that her demon soul was actually on par with the ghostly shadow. It could only barely resist. Su Yueqin panicked. If her demon soul could not stand it, then her soul would collapse, and she would be doomed eternally. For a moment she was stunned, not knowing what to do. Admittedly, even though Su Yueqin had many treasures and she was at a good realm, her abilities were not particularly strong. After all, she was a delicate goddess. She could not take part in bloody fights, let alone go through life and death battles. Her actual combat ability was not up to par. At this moment she was stunned for one breath. In a fight between powerful warriors, one breath could be fatal. Lu was a wily old fox. He had spent almost all his life fighting. How could he let go of such a good chance? He dashed over. The mystical iron appeared in his hand. With a black glare, he smashed at Su Yueqin's arms. He knew that if the mystical iron were to hit Su Yueqin's head, she would become a headless corpse. He needed a living Su Yueqin, so naturally, he smashed at her hands. Su Yueqin finally came to her senses after feeling the mighty energy. However, there was a glint of surprise in her eyes. Lu had a holy weapon shard in his hand? A warrior of the second tribulation realm had a holy weapon shard? Su Yueqin was still wondering why Lu had a holy weapon shard when the mystical iron was smashed at her. By the time she came to her senses, Lu's mystical iron had reached her. Ah! A miserable cry came out. Su Yueqin's voice was beautiful. Even her scream was pleasant to the ears. Su Yueqin's arms were crushed. The Heaven-Universe sword was smashed away. The two sisters' arms were dancing in the air. Their blood dyed the sky red. Boom! Lu was not a man with tender feelings for the fairer sex. He put away the mystical iron, grabbed Su Yueqin's neck with one hand and smashed at her abdomen with the other. Boom, 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 Lu punched at Su Yueqin's abdomen again and again. Her blood-stained dress glowed and protected her body. The thing was, no matter how strong a defensive artifact was, how strong could it be? It was not a sovereign weapon. Lu's fists were powerful. He punched again and the strength was transmitted into her body. Su Yueqin's arms were crushed. She was punching again and again. Blood spilled out from her mouth and her face was pale. Her face was filled with pain, and her body was trembling with fear. Boom! After more than 100 punches from Lu, Su Yueqin's pellet was finally shattered. The pain was too much for her. She rolled her eyes and passed out. Phew, phew! Chapter 2237. Third Master Meng was in a big city by the sea called Heavenly Ghost City. He was not the only one. Almost all the experts of the Meng family were there. This matter had a great impact on the Meng family. If Lu were at the Ghost Universe, the matter could be kept under control. Now that Lu was out, almost the entire Hell Palace knew about it. The Meng family was disgraced and Third Master Meng, who had always been conceited, was enraged. Tens of thousands of warriors and scouts were mobilized to build several lines of defense. Third Master Meng was sure that Lu would go out to sea. It would be better if he didn't go out to sea. Lu hiding in the Hell Island was like a turtle in a jar. He would be caught sooner or later. Lu was right. There were some powerful warriors of the Meng family, but they could not go and hunt in person. The younger members of the Meng family were twice as young. Everyone wanted to go and cut Lu into pieces, but Third Master Meng stopped them from going. Several days had passed, but there was still no news, not even a clue. Third Master Meng and the others were getting anxious. Could it be that Lu had secretly gone out to sea? Report! A shrill voice rang out, rousing the spirits of Third Master Meng and the others in the city. Had they finally found that lad? However, the messenger seemed to be in a hurry. Could it be that something special had happened? Third Master Meng and the others were very shrewd. The 4 old men in the room were as still as mountains. When the scout rushed in, Third Master Meng saw that he was panicking and shouted angrily, "The sky is falling? Why are you in such a panic?" Plop! The scout knelt on the ground and shouted in a deep voice, reporting to Second Master, Third Master, Elders, something big has happened. Fourth Master Lu appeared in the Yellow Dragon City, killed 2 elders, and kidnapped the goddess. At this moment, he was flying towards the seaside on a warship. The head of the Spirit Valley Dragon Commander was hung on the flagpole of the battleship. Mr. Li was also tied to the flagpole. In front of the entire city, he made the goddess kneel on the battleship. The goddess' arm was broken, and her divine pellet was destroyed. What? Third Master Meng and the others all stood up. Their expressions changed, and Third Master Meng trembled with anger. Even when the Rakshasa Palace attacked the Underworld Palace and killed countless of their experts, he had never been so furious. Kill someone as a sacrifice to the flag and hang his grandnephew on the flagpole? Make the goddess kneel, break her arm, and destroy her divine core? Killing people was as easy as nodding his head, but this little bastard had pressed the faces of all the experts of the Underworld Palace into the ground and stepped on them. Don't be anxious after stepping on them. He would spit on them continuously and even shit on their heads. Boom. In the end, Third Master Meng could not suppress the rage in his heart. The violent aura from his body poured out in torrents, instantly turning the entire castle into dust. Dust filled the air, and killing intent filled the air, causing everyone in the city to feel as if they were treading on thin ice. Thump, thump. Many soldiers in the city knelt down. Their faces were filled with fear. They were afraid that Third Master Meng would be enraged and implicate the soldiers in the city. Utter humiliation, utter humiliation. Third Master Meng roared angrily. He had never been humiliated like this in his life. If the other party was an expert from a major force, he could still tolerate it. But Luli was just an average warrior of the Hell Palace. Even though he had reached the Commander realm later, in the eyes of Third Master Meng, Luli was just a little bastard. A little bastard had done something big. Originally, taking down Meng Li was a slap to the face of the Meng family. Now, he had done something that angered both humans and gods, which was a slap to the face of the entire Hell Palace. Third Master Meng knew very well that there were many spies in the Hell Palace, from all the major forces. Now that this matter had become so big, nobody could suppress it. Everyone would be found out by the spies. Therefore, this matter would soon spread across the entire Devil Sea. Even if they could kill Luli and save the goddess Mengli, the Hell Palace would be disgraced. Third Master Meng could imagine that it wouldn't be long before the entire Rakshasa Sea became the laughing stock of their leisure time. In the future, when warriors of the Hell Palace went out, they would also be treated as a joke by their opponent. The Hell Palace would not be able to hold their heads up high during this period of time. The Devil Sea was vast. Every year, the four forces would attract countless people to join them. Only with a steady flow of fresh blood could the four forces maintain their vitality, produce more powerful warriors, and keep the Hell Palace prosperous. Now that the Hell Palace had become the laughingstock of the Devil Sea, they would not be able to hold their heads up high. Even some warriors of the Hell Palace would leave, let alone attracting powerful warriors from the outside world to join them. They would feel ashamed, that they would be laughed at and disgraced when they went out. Phew, phew. Third Master Meng took a few deep breaths and told himself to calm down. What had happened must be taken care of. Otherwise, if Luli escaped or the goddess was killed, the situation would be dire. Where is that punk now? Third Master Meng asked in a cold voice. The scout answered in fear. He should be at the Tianming city soon. Patriarch Su of the Netherworld City and other patriarchs of nearby cities are on their battleships to track him down. Let's go. The Tianming city was not far from here. If Third Master Meng and the others flew at full speed, it would only take them 4 to 6 hours. Of course, Third Master Meng and the others would not fly there like idiot. There was a teleportation formation in the city. Send the news back to the Hell City and report to the Prefecture Master. Third Master Meng said, and then teleported to the Tianming city with a group of people. The other patriarchs, clan masters and commanders in the city also teleported to the Tianming city. The higher-ups must be angry at such a big event. They must go and help. Many people had gathered at the Tianming city. At first, there were only tens of thousands of people in the city. Now, the teleportation formation was glowing and more people were teleported over. The population had increased. Patriarch Yang of the Valley of Ghosts was here. Any patriarch would come here as soon as they heard the news. Patriarch Yang and the others had just arrived at the Netherworld city. They were frightened when they heard the news. All of them teleported to the Tianming city. This punk is making a big deal out of this. Patriarch Yun was having a headache. He just wanted to embarrass the Meng family. Now, the entire Hell Palace was disgraced. If the higher-ups looked into it, all the patriarchs of the Valley of Ghosts would have to bear the blame. I didn't expect this, either. Patriarch Hua rubbed his forehead. He didn't want things to turn out like this. He thought for a while and sighed. Let's not worry about it. Let's just be onlookers. I think the prefecture master will come in person. He knows the immortal lady very well. Buzzing, the teleportation formation lit up. Third Master Meng and the others teleported over. As soon as they arrived, the entire city seemed to be frozen. Low-level warriors in the city kept quiet out of fear and didn't dare to breathe too loudly. Third Master Meng glanced over to Patriarch Hua and the others. He snorted but said nothing. He flew up to the sky and waited for Lu Li's arrival quietly. Whoosh! An hour later, a battleship arrived quickly. There were other battleships following behind and on the left and right sides of the battleship, but they didn't dare to get too close. There were 2 flagpoles on the battleship. A bloody head was hung on the higher flagpole. Meng Li was tied to the lower flagpole, looking ashamed and angry. Chapter 2238. Lu Li could have asked the Ghost King to take him. In this way, the speed would be much faster. He didn't even fly the battleship as fast as he could. He could have deviated from the Tianming city, but he chose to come here. There was a reason for him to do this. Rather than being ambushed, hunted and assassinated, he might as well do it openly and grandly. There were pros and cons to this. On the one hand, he could let everyone know that he had the immortal lady. If the powerful warriors of the Meng family wanted to do something, they would have to think twice. If the immortal lady died because of them, the Meng family would not be able to explain to the Su family. On the other hand, this would be too much of a rumor. The higher-ups of the Hell Palace would be enraged and more powerful warriors would be attracted. Lu Li didn't know what kind of means those powerful warriors would have. What if they had ways to kill people invisibly? What if they could freeze time and space in an instant? Lu Li had no other choice but to take a gamble. He bet that they would be afraid of Su Yueqin's death. She was the one with the body of stars and moon. The battleship flew slowly in the sky. Wind was blowing. Lu Li's clothes were fluttering and the flag on the flagpole was fluttering. The flag was the flag of the Hell Palace. It looked quite ironic at the moment. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Countless elders and soldiers rose into the air, spreading out in all directions, forming a fan shape to surround the warship that was flying over from afar. There were several battleships behind Lu Li's battleship. Lu Li was surrounded. If it weren't for the fact that he had something to rely on, he would have nowhere to run. Third Master Meng stood in midair with a group of patriarchs. Patriarch Hua and the others were behind him. Third Master Meng had the highest status here, and he was the most powerful one. Naturally, he was the leader. The battleship stopped 300 miles away from Third Master Meng. Even though 300 miles and 1,500 miles were the same and powerful warriors like Third Master Meng could cross the distance in an instant, Lu Li was still worried. Whoosh! Lu Li moved. He flew up and lifted Meng Li down from the flagpole. He walked to the bow with Meng Li in his hand. Without saying anything, he stared at the powerful warriors coldly. Tens of thousands of warriors were staring at Lu Li. There were so many powerful warriors, which was quite stressful. However, Lu Li's expressions didn't change. Instead, he put on a faint smile. Meng Li was awake, but at this moment, he wished that he had fainted. There was also a dark red scab on his face. He felt his face grow hot, and he hung his head, not daring to look at anyone. He was ashamed to the extreme. Today was the most humiliating day of his life, but he couldn't commit suicide. Otherwise, he would have begged for death. He was the number one of the Meng clan's younger generation, the underworld palace, and even the entire Rakshasa Sea's top young master. In the past, he was peerless and insufferably arrogant. But now, both his arms were broken and his divine elixir was crippled. He was even captured like a dead dog in front of his clansmen and elders. This humiliation was unbearable for him. His breaths quickened. He wished that Luli could end his life with one move. He gritted his teeth. He suddenly raised his head and roared hysterically, "Third Grandpa, kill him and kill me!" Tanuki had let down the Meng family and the Hell Palace. Kill him, kill this bastard. Mengli didn't know that Su Yueqin was captured as well. Luli put her in another side chamber. Mengli thought that Luli could threaten so many powerful warriors just by holding him hostage. There was dead silence. Apart from Meng Li's roars, there was no other sound. Third Grandpa Meng didn't say anything, so the others didn't dare to make a sound. Ha ha! Luli smiled lightly and said lightly, "Young Master Li, don't shout. They don't care about your life or death. They don't dare to do anything, not because of you. You don't have the right." Boom! With that said, Luli threw Mengli to the ground and stepped on him. The 1,000 transformations cauldron appeared in his hand and he pressed it against Meng Li's head. Luli looked at Third Grandpa Meng in an unruly manner and said, "You are from the Meng family? What are you doing here with your men? Are you doubting my determination to kill? Do you want to kill this bastard of yours first?" Arrogant, arrogant, insufferably arrogant. Many people's eyes turned red. When had the Hell Palace ever been humiliated like this? Not only the patriarchs, but also the sergeants nearby couldn't help but let out their killing intent. As one of the 4 forces of the Devil Sea, the Hell Palace had its own pride. If Luli was the palace master of the Palace of Devil Sea, then people could accept it. A former commander of the Hell Palace, a warrior of the Second Tribulation Realm, could be so arrogant and so arrogant. It was as if Luli was standing on their heads and taking a dump. This was unbearable. Third Grandpa Meng's expressions didn't change. There wasn't even a trace of killing intent coming from him. As the master of the Hall of Warfare, if he didn't have such shrewdness, then he wouldn't be able to sit in this position. What had happened had happened. The Hell Palace had been disgraced. Now it was pointless to say anything, to regret anything, to blame anyone. What he had to do was to save Su Yueqin and kill Luli. Only in this way could he save some of his reputation. As for Meng Li's life or death, he really didn't care. He wouldn't even care about his own grandson, let alone his grandnephew. The Hall of Warfare was in charge of killing. As the master of the Hall of Warfare, he must be cold-blooded and merciless. Taking a deep breath, Luli said, "Fourth Master of Warfare, tell me what you want. I want you to release the immortal lady. Everything else is negotiable." Buzzing, Luli's sacred mountain glowed as the Master of Ghosts came out with Su Yueqin in his hand. Su Yueqin was still in a coma. Her arms were torn and there was a hole in her abdomen. Her hair was disheveled. She looked miserable. The Master of Ghosts vanished into the sacred mountain again. Luli said calmly, "I can release the immortal lady, but not now. When I leave the Hell Island and am absolutely safe, I will release her. Now or get out of my way or we will all perish together." Hiss hiss, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air could be heard. The goddess had actually become like this? Also, for many people, this was the first time they had seen the Master of Ghosts. The Master of Ghosts was indeed horrifying. Some patriarchs restrained their killing intent. Luli's move had made them worried. The Master of Ghosts was holding the immortal lady hostage. Now that Luli had subdued the Master of Ghosts, if Luli died, the Master of Ghosts would follow Luli's order and kill Su Yueqin at once. It didn't matter if Luli died or not, but Su Yueqin could not. She was their immortal lady and the former chief's favorite granddaughter. It was said that she had the body of stars and moon, which could hardly be found in 100,000 years. Third Master Meng's expressions changed. His eyes flickered. After some thoughts, he made up his mind and said, Fourth Master of Warfare, I am Meng Yaoyuan, the Master of the Palace of Hell. People call me Third Master Meng. How about this? I will destroy my pellet and exchange with the immortal lady. With me you can leave the Hell Island easily. Whoosh! Lu Li suddenly hacked at Meng Li with the cauldron of 1,000 transformations. Meng Li cried out in pain. One of his legs was cut off by Lu Li. Chapter 2239. One life for 2 lives. Lu Li was ready to risk it all. He cut off Meng Li's leg right in front of Third Master Meng, which was a silent statement of his attitude. He was just a nobody and all he wanted was to survive. If he could not, then he would bury Meng Li and Su Yueqin with him. Seeing how miserable Meng Li was, Second Master Meng's eyes flickered. The other powerful warriors of the Meng family felt sorry for him as well. But nobody said anything. Third Master Meng was the leader here, and he was the only one who could make decisions. Third Master Meng ignored Meng Li completely. He even hated Meng Li at the moment and wanted to kill him. If it were not for Meng Li, this wouldn't have happened. The Meng family and the Hell Palace wouldn't be so humiliated. He wouldn't be in a dilemma. Second brother. He glanced at Second Master Meng and said, Are you sure you can crack his interspatial artifact in an instant? I am sure I can kill him in an instant. It is not difficult to crack the interspatial artifact. A bitter smile appeared on Second Master Meng's face as he transmitted his voice. The problem is that Phantom King. Although this Phantom King hasn't matured yet, its battle prowess is definitely not weaker than that of a mid-stage Fourth Tribulation cultivator. Furthermore, the Phantom King's forte is its speed. I have no confidence in protecting the goddess. Alas! Third Master Meng sighed. This was what he was worried about as well. It was not difficult to kill Lu Li. He could kill Lu Li in an instant. But the goddess was being held hostage by the Phantom King. If he did anything rash, the goddess would die. Lu Li was a nobody and it was because of this that he had no scruples. He dared to capture Meng Li, the goddess, and cut off Meng Li's leg right in front of him. All these showed that Lu Li was determined. He was a tough man. Third Master Meng was still hesitating. Lu Li began to count. His voice was firm and there was no doubt about his determination. If they let Lu Li go, things would be more troublesome once he went to the sea. It was not their territory out there. What if other forces got involved? If they didn't let Lu Li go, it would be a mutual destruction. Both Meng Li and Su Yueqin would die. If Su Yueqin died, how could he explain to the chief? According to his original plan, he would not let Lu Li go even if Su Yueqin died. That would be too much of a slap in the face. The prestige of the entire underworld palace would be swept to the ground. It would greatly affect the future development of the underworld palace. She was just a goddess. She had the legendary Star Moon divine physique. The problem was that he had never tried it before. Who knew if it was real? What if it was useless? 2. Lu Li had counted to 2, but Third Master Meng still hadn't made up his mind. At this moment, the teleportation array in the city lit up and an elder appeared in the teleportation array. He scanned the situation above, and his expression changed drastically as he rushed up. Third Master, there's an order from the Mansion Master. As he shouted, he flew over, cupped his hands and said, The Prefecture Master has given the order to let him go. If he doesn't release the goddess after leaving the sea, kill him immediately. This elder did not send a sound transmission. Instead, he shouted loudly, and his voice spread out in all directions. Countless people immediately felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. The old lord had given the order, so they didn't have to bear the consequences. The old lord's order was resolute as well. If Luli still didn't release Su Yueqin after leaving the sea, then Luli would be killed directly, regardless of whether Su Yueqin lived or died. This was a wise order. If Luli didn't release Su Yueqin after leaving the sea, then the goddess would be defiled. If Star Moon Goddess was defiled, then it would be pointless to save her. Old Lord had given Luli a chance of survival. He believed that Luli would release Su Yueqin after leaving the sea for the sake of his own life. After Su Yueqin was released, Third Master Meng and the others had no more concerns. Even though the sea was vast, Third Master Meng and the others were fast. They could chase after Luli all the way. There was a good chance that they could kill Luli and wash away the humiliation. Previously, Third Master Meng and the others were in a dilemma. This order would put Luli in a dilemma. The older, the wiser. Luli soon figured out the old lord's intention after he heard the order. Even so, there was nothing he could do. If the old lord didn't give the order directly, Third Master Meng would carry it out firmly. Third Master Meng was relieved. The old lord's order was timely. He said in a cold voice, "Fourth Master Lu, go now. You have heard our master's order. If you don't release her after leaving the sea, then I will have to kill you. All of you make way." Whoosh! The army moved to the sides. Third Master Meng stepped back with a group of patriarchs, making a wide path for Luli. Without hesitation, Luli flew the battleship towards the sea. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Third Master Meng waited until Luli was more than 30 miles away before he got back to the battleship. The 4 battleships flew away and followed Luli's battleship from the left and right. There was a distance of more than 3,000 miles between them. Luli wouldn't feel disgusted by this distance. His every move would be monitored by Third Master Meng and the others. Dozens of patriarchs and thousands of warriors on the 4 battleships became Luli's escorts to escort him away from the Hell Island. The warship soared through the sky. According to the distance, it would take at most 1.5 days for the warship to set sail. That was to say, Luli still had a day and a half to plan. Of course, during this time, Luli had to be on guard. What if this was the old chief's ploy? On the surface, the old palace master had calmed him down, but he had secretly launched a sneak attack to kill him. Moreover, he had also broken through the Divine Mountain, killed the Phantom King, and saved Su Yueqin. This was not impossible. The Phantom King looked very powerful, as he was able to kill Su Yueqin in an instant. However, the methods of experts were endless. The old palace master of the Underworld Palace was one of the top figures of the Devil Sea. Who knew what special methods he had? Luli thought about it and brought Mengli into the wicked bead with him. The wicked bead flew into the cabin and activated the inhibition formations in the cabin. Also, Luli asked Blood Fairy to build some dojos. The Divine Inscriptions dojo didn't need to be particularly useful. It only needed to be a little more flashy and frightening, causing people to feel as though they were shrouded in fog. This way, the possibility of the old manor lord making a move would be greatly reduced. As long as the old Lord Prefect didn't have absolute confidence, he wouldn't act rashly. That way, he would be able to sail safely. As for what to do after they set sail, that was what Luli had to think about in the next day and a half. The battleship moved forward in a straight line. Luli didn't have to control the ship. He could use the trace of the Great Path to sense the surroundings. Once there was any sign of trouble, he would tell the Phantom King to kill Su Yueqin. He was not trying to scare the Underworld Palace. He would really do it. Even at the cost of his life, he would drag the 2 down with him. This was the stubbornness of a nobody. The speed of the battleship was neither fast nor slow. If it was too fast, Luli wouldn't be able to monitor the surroundings. If it was too slow, it would take too long. 4 hours later, Blood Fairy had finished building some dojos. Luli was a bit relieved. They had flown for such a long distance, and there was nothing going on nearby. What was more, the runes Blood Fairy built were profound. It would be difficult for psychic power to penetrate in dojos, inhibition formations, wicked bead, and divine mountain. 4 layers of protection. It would be difficult for the old palace master to locate Su Yueqin. If that was the case, then he wouldn't dare to take action at will. Otherwise, Su Yueqin's safety could not be guaranteed. Phew. Chapter 2240. It had been a peaceful day. But the entire Hell Island was in turmoil. The impact of this matter was too great. Many more warriors were teleporting over. They all knew very well that what Luli did was a great humiliation to the Hell Palace. The Hell Palace must kill Luli or they would never let it go. Just like when Su Yueqin killed the holy son of the Palace of Rakshasa, the Palace of Rakshasa had to send out an army at the cost of many casualties. This was a fight for dignity. This time, even if Luli could run to the end of the world and out of the Devil Sea, the Hell Palace would not let him go. They could not wash away the humiliation without killing Luli. Therefore, the patriarchs mobilized many warriors to sneak to the seaside and make arrangements in the sea. Even if they could not capture Luli, they could at least track him down so that he could not run away. With so many warriors out to sea, the small forces nearby were surprised. Many pieces of news were flying around. What Luli did was spread out. Patriarchs of many medium-sized forces were teleporting over. For no particular reason, they just wanted to be a spectator. It was interesting to see the Hell Palace being humiliated. Some reclusive old demons were sent out as well. They were powerful, but they could not afford to offend the Hell Palace since they had no forces to back them up. They had been bullied by the Hell Palace more or less in the past. Now they all came out to watch. A warrior of the Second Tribulation had captured a young master of the Meng family and a lady of the Hell Palace. He was going out to sea under the protection of a group of powerful warriors of the Hell Palace. This was a rare sight. Luli thought for a day and a half, but he couldn't come up with a good idea. The old prefecture master had given the order, which meant that third Master Meng would not go back on his word. Therefore, if Su Yueqin didn't let him go, he would die right away. If Su Yueqin let him go, he might be able to buy some time. Third Lord Meng would give him some time to run. But what awaited him would be the pursuit of countless armies and powerful warriors. There was no way out for him unless he used the Godspeed boat, but if he did, he would become a target for all. Also, when the pure Heaven-blood Eagle race got the news, they would send powerful warriors to hunt him down. Even if he could get out of the Devil Sea, he would be hated by all and be hunted down by countless powerful warriors. Forget it. I can't even keep my life. What's there to be afraid of? Luli made up his mind. If he could not make it, then he would have to use the God boat. If he could get out of the Devil Sea, then he would. If not, then he would fight to the death. With the speed of the godly speedboat, they would probably be able to get out of the Rakshasa Sea in 2 days. Once they were out of the Rakshasa Sea, it would be relatively safer. After another 4 hours, the horizon appeared in front of them. They were about to go out to sea. Luli noticed that 2 of the battleships had gone to the front. 4 battleships formed 4 corners around him. Luli didn't take any action. He continued to sense the surroundings through the trace of Tao. This was the most dangerous moment. The former chief or the great patriarch of the Hell Palace might be hiding somewhere. They could kill Luli when they made a move. He continued to steer the warship forward. Third Master Meng and the others did not pass any messages to him. They just continued to follow him. The speed of the warship was not bad. Soon, they entered the vast sea, and they could no longer see the island behind them. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Third Master Meng shouted, "Fourth Master Lu, we are out of the range of the Hell Island. It is time for you to let him go." Luli didn't come out from the wicked bead. Instead, he said, "Another 3 million miles. We are too close to the Hell Island." 3,000,000 miles was not a long distance. Third Master Meng didn't waste any more time. The 5 battleships whooshed on. Lu had been sensing the surroundings. He was relieved to see that no powerful warriors were tailing him. As the battleships flew on, some of the islands in front of them were not from the Hell Palace. They were just here to watch the fun. Some old warriors were swaggering along the beach, looking at the 5 battleships flying in the sky with a smile. Third Master Meng and the others had been checking with psychic power. When they saw the old warriors, they were furious. They had been disgraced. Even though the old warriors were not here to help Lu, it was clear that they were here to laugh at him. Third Master Meng and the others felt their faces burning. Soon, the 3,000,000 miles were crossed. The battleships ahead stopped, indicating that Lu should let Meng Ying go or they would kill him. Third Master Meng said nothing. He stood on the deck and stared at the battleship Lu was on. He was filled with killing intent. His intention was clear. If Lu didn't let him go, he would not show mercy. Buzzing, Lu used the trace of the Great Path to check the surroundings. He flew out from the wicked bead, carrying Meng Li in one hand. Meng Li seemed to have passed out. His arms and one leg were broken. He was in a miserable state. Lu saw some old warriors around him. They didn't seem to be from the Hell Palace. Lu put on a smile. It seemed that he, Lu, had made a name for himself at the Devil Sea. Let him go now? Second Master Meng said. Meng Li was pale. Clearly, he was badly injured. This was his beloved grandnephew. Naturally, Second Master Meng would not be nice to Lu. Don't be hasty. Lu raised his eyebrows and said, I don't have the guts to let her go when you are around. How about this? I will let Meng Li go first as a deposit. Then, you have the time for 3 incense sticks to burn. During this time, you cannot go after me. After that, I will let Su Yueqin go. What a joke! Third Master Meng sneered. What if you still don't let him go after the time for 3 incense sticks to burn? Do you want me to give you the time for 3 incense sticks to burn? Cut the crap. If you don't let him go, we will start a killing spree. Go ahead. Lu said tit for tat. If I let him go now, you can kill me in an instant. I will die anyway. Let's drag 2 of you down with us. How far can I go in the time for 3 incense sticks to burn? You have scouts all around here, right? My whereabouts are under your control. If I don't let him go after the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, you can kill him. Luli's tone was resolute. Third Master Meng hesitated. Lu was right. If he let Meng Ying go now, he would be doomed. The time for 3 incense sticks to burn was not long. Lu could not go far. But it would take him some time to catch up. Okay. Third Master Meng nodded coldly and said, Go. If you don't let him go in the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, we will catch up with him. We will not say anything and just kill him. Move. At Third Master Meng's order, the battleship moved out of the way again. Lu controlled the battleship to fly on. He didn't let Meng Li go either. Meng Li was extremely nervous. After flying for more than 30 miles and making sure that nobody was going to make a move, he used his dragon roar skill and shouted, Third Master Meng, I hope you keep your word. If you catch up before the time is up, I promise you that I will turn Su Yueqin into a pile of minced meat. Ha ha ha, punk, you have guts. An old demon suddenly laughed and said, Don't worry and run. I will keep an eye on Brother 3 Meng for you. Run far away. Don't let him catch you. Old Demon Han, are you courting death? Brother 3 Meng glared at an old demon with killing intent. That demon grinned and said, Brother 3 Meng, don't be angry. I am not the one who captured your immortal lady. This sea area does not belong to the Hell Palace. Can't we just stay here and watch? Ha ha. On another island, a bald old man sneered and said, Brother 3 Meng, how impressive you are. You are courting death at the drop of a hat. Is the Hell Palace the master of the Devil Sea? Brother 3 Meng, if you want to hurt old Demon Han, Do you have to ask for my permission? You are angry at a second tribulation warrior, and now you want to vent your anger on us? Another old demon spoke. Third Master Meng was enraged. Normally, he would have made a move. But now, Su Yueqin was still in Lu Li's hands. He dared not to act rashly. If he could not save Su Yueqin and Lu Li ran away, then the Hell Palace would lose all its dignity. Third Master Meng snorted and waited quietly. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, a scout came and reported, Third Master, Immortal Lady and young Master Li have been released. But there seems to be something wrong with young Master Li's soul. Go after him and chop this bastard. Third Master Meng could not stand it anymore. He shouted and waved his hand. He flew away with a group of patriarchs like an aurora. P.S. There will be an update at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Also, many pictures of the female lead were posted on the official WeChat account. Some were in real life and some were in classical form. Chapter 2241. Lu Li released both Meng Li and Su Yueqin. He had to. If he didn't, he would be hunted down by the Hell Palace. Even the Master and Great Patriarch of the Hell Palace would come after him. That would be a fight to the death. Now, there would be people hunting him down as well. But there would be fewer people and fewer powerful warriors. At least, the Master and Great Patriarch wouldn't go after him. They couldn't afford to lose face. Meng Li was in a coma. Under the investigation of the Hell Palace, there seemed to be something wrong with her soul. It was not that the Hell Palace was wrong. Lu Li did it on purpose. Meng Li knew too much and this person was of no importance to the Hell Palace. Lu Li forced Ghost Shadow to destroy Meng Li's enchanted soul. That enchanted soul was much weaker than Su Yueqin's. Ghost Force was strong enough to destroy Meng Li's enchanted soul easily. Now that the enchanted soul was destroyed, the rest was easy. Lu Li made something wrong with Meng Li's soul. In other words, Meng Li might become a vegetable in the future. The possibility of her recovery was slim. As a matter of fact, Su Yueqin had seen Lu Li's mystical iron as well. But Lu Li didn't dare to let anything happen to her soul. It wouldn't matter even if the mystical iron was exposed. The Hell Palace would never tell anyone about it. They would only think of ways to kill Lu Li secretly. Lu Li and the Hell Palace were mortal enemies anyway. One more reason to kill him didn't matter. Lu Li didn't take away Su Yueqin's Heaven Universe sword. Usually, he wouldn't spit it out when it was already in his mouth. But this time, he had to do it. The sword belonged to the previous chief, who gave it to Su Yueqin for the time being. If he took it, the previous chief would fight him to the death. Lu Li accepted Meng Li's treasure. That flying sword was good stuff. Third Master Meng would not let him go anyway. Why should he be polite? He should take what he should take, kill what he should kill, and not take what he shouldn't kill. He had to make sure that he could survive now before he could think about the future. If he didn't let Su Yueqin go now, the Master and Great Patriarch of the Hell Palace might take action. By then, he would die even if he had 9 lives. At this moment, he was flying at top speed. He was no longer riding on the battleship, nor was he flying on his own. Instead, he was being carried by the Phantom King. Spectre King was dozens of times faster than Lu Li. Lu Li believed that not even warriors at the middle stage of the Fourth Tribulation could be as fast as Spectre King. After all, Spectre King was known for his speed. The wind was howling in Lu Li's ears, and his robe was fluttering. The Phantom King was so fast that Lu Li felt the scenery around him was moving backward. Just a moment ago, he saw a small island in the distance. In the blink of an eye, that small island was behind him. In the blink of an eye, that small island disappeared. The time it took for 3 incense sticks to burn was not long. Lu Li believed that Third Master Meng would catch up with him soon. Luli was a bit worried, not knowing which way to run. I wonder if I can escape? Third Master Meng should not be at the peak of the Fourth Tribulation Realm. The peak of the Fourth Tribulation Realm was the strongest expert in the Rakshasa Sea or even the entire Purple Sun continent. A 5 Tribulation Heaven God should be a top-notch expert in the Purple Yang continent. It was said that there were no 5 Tribulation Heaven Gods in the Rakshasa Sea, but there were many peak 4 Tribulation Heaven Gods. Some reclusive old demons were peak 4 Tribulation Heaven Gods. If not, then they must be at the later stage of the Fourth Tribulation. They must be faster than Spectre King. Therefore, Luli was not sure that he could escape from Third Master Meng. He had been sensing the situation behind him. If there was any fluctuation in space, Luli would take out the god boat at once. Life was the most important thing. If he died, all the treasures would belong to others. It didn't matter if he was exposed or not. Time flew by quickly. Several hours passed by quickly. Luli didn't even know how far he had flown. He only knew that he was heading toward the southeast where he could leave the Rakshasa Sea. Along the way, he saw many scouts. The Hell Palace must have sent out many scouts, so Luli knew that his whereabouts should be under control. Another 2 hours later, he heard some noise behind him. Luli looked back at once and saw several black dots moving toward him. Here they are. Luli put on a bitter smile. He must use the god boat or else he would not be able to get away. He used the trace of Tao to sense the people behind him. They were so fast. It must be Third Master Meng and the others. 6 of them. They must be patriarchs of the Hell Palace. Luli nodded. His ring glowed and the god boat came out. He put away the Phantom King and dashed into the god boat. Blood Fairy snuck out from the mountain at once. The god boat glowed and dashed into the distance like a shooting star. It was indeed Third Master Meng and the others. Apart from the great patriarch, all the most powerful warriors of the Meng family were here. Patriarch Huo and Patriarch Yun were here as well. They had to come. The impact of this matter was too great. They could not absolve themselves from the blame. If they did not come to remedy the situation, the chief would punish them. The 6 of them had strong psychic power. They were able to locate Luli at once. The moment they saw Luli, they were relieved. As long as they could catch up with Luli, he would not be able to get away. The next second, they were all dumbfounded. Luli took out a ship and flew away in a blur. His speed was so fast that it scared them. He was dozens of times faster than Third Master Meng. How could they catch up with him? What kind of flying artifact is that? How can he be so fast? How can Fourth Master Lu have such an artifact? If he had such an artifact, he would have run away a long time ago. Patriarch Yun murmured, puzzled. Patriarch Hua could not figure it out either. But he recognized the artifact. He said, Boat of God. Boat of God. Second Master Meng narrowed his eyes. Naturally, he had heard of such an artifact but never seen it. Not even their chief had the Boat of God. Of the entire Devil Sea, only one person had one, the master of the Palace of Devil. This was a piece of treasure from the ancient times. It was said that a master could forge one. The problem was that the materials were hard to find. It would take 100 years to build one. More importantly, the master was not at the Ziyang land. Therefore, there was no way to buy it here. When Third Master Lu first joined the Hell Palace, he was just a lowly soldier. He was at the bottom of the captive camp. Later, by chance, he saved the immortal lady's life and was promoted to a commander. Even hall masters and ordinary elders were nothing in the eyes of Third Master Meng and the others, let alone a junior commander. Patriarch Yang must be in a high position at the Valley of Ghosts. But what kind of treasure did he have? Not even a shard of imperial weapon. The top-level resources were precious. Naturally, the big shots would use the good stuff first. Only when the big shots didn't need it would the regular patriarch. As for clan chiefs and other commanders, they would never have the chance to have anything good. Now, a small commander had a boat of God? It was not hard to imagine how shocked everyone was. Patriarch Yun was regretting. If he had known that Luli had such a good thing, he would not have let Luli go. He would have taken it by force. Su Yueqin was still in a coma. If they learned from her that Luli had a holy weapon shard, Patriarch Hua and Patriarch Yun would slap themselves. Good, very good. Chapter 2242. As soon as Luli took out the Godspeed boat, many people were alarmed. There were many scouts in this area, including those from the other three forces and many middle-sized forces. Not everyone knew about the Godspeed boat. However, when Luli suddenly took out such a treasure, he was so fast that all the scouts were taken aback. They immediately sent back the news through various channels. The news spread to all sides of the Devil Sea like snowflakes. Some old demons nearby got the news and they all swarmed over. In just half a day, almost all the forces at the Devil Sea had received the news. The Mu family, Pavilion of Paradise and Palace of Devil all made their moves, and quite a number of them. The Mu family and Pavilion of Paradise each sent out 10 patriarchs, led by powerful warriors like Third Master Meng. The Palace of Devil sent out fewer warriors. It seemed that they only sent out some regular patriarchs. That being said, the Palace of Devil itself wanted a piece of the pie. Luli had become a rare commodity, or in other words, a rat on the street that everyone wanted to beat up. There was no other way. Luli was an innocent man who would get into trouble because of his wealth. He was not powerful and he was alone. He didn't have any forces to support him, but he had valuable treasures on him. He was like a lamb walking in the wild. Every beast in the mountain would want to bite it. Many old demons also made their moves. Everyone wanted the Godspeed boat. Even if they didn't sell it, it would fetch a high price. To have a Godspeed boat and travel at the Devil Sea was something to be proud of. Luli flew toward the southeast of the Devil Sea. If they flew at a normal speed, they wouldn't be able to catch up with him. There were only 2 ways to catch up with Luli and intercept him. The first way was to take long-distance teleportation formations and teleport continuously. The second way was to use the land gate. All the big forces had ways to open the land gate, and they could be teleported over precisely. Third Master Meng chose to open the land gate. As a matter of fact, they could teleport all the way over, but Third Master Meng didn't think it was safe. He asked Patriarch Hua and Patriarch Yun to teleport after Luli. He led the members of the Meng clan and flew towards Hell Island. He wanted to open the domain gate and directly go to the edge of the Rakshasa Sea. He wanted to wait in front. The Hell Island had many scouts outside and many small forces were under their control. When they went back, they could send someone to coordinate. In this way, they could intercept Luli no matter which way he went. Luli was not good at fighting. As long as he had a good plan, Third Master Meng and the others could take him down as soon as he got close. Not only would he be able to wash away his shame, but he would also be able to obtain a rare treasure. In addition, Third Master Meng suspected that Luli had other valuable treasures on him. He was not making baseless accusations, but a well-founded suspicion. This was because Meng Li's entire body was filled with treasures, and so was the goddess's body. The goddess also had a holy artifact shard. The Spectre King alone was not enough to take down Su Yueqin. What was more, Luli was not injured in the fight with Su Yueqin, which was suspicious. Since Luli could take out the godly speedboat so easily, it was not surprising that he had other treasures on him. That was why Third Master Meng was excited. Capturing Luli might bring him some unexpected gains. After Third Master Meng went back, he asked Second Master Meng to coordinate. Third Master Meng gathered several patriarchs and 10 of them opened the domain gate to the Tiger Island at the southeast of the Rakshasa Sea. The opening of the domain gate was fast. It only took them less than a day to get to the Tiger Island from the Rakshasa Sea. The godly speedboat was fast, but it would take them at least a day to get there. Therefore, Third Master Meng could take his time to plan. Many forces that were hiding in the dark were mobilized. Second Master Meng was coordinating. He also mobilized many small and medium-sized forces that were inextricably linked to the Hell Palace. When Third Master Meng and the others arrived at the Tiger Island, they received a message. Luli was on his way and he was about a day away. Third Master Meng planned to divide into 3 lines of defense. 3 patriarchs would form a group and each would lead someone to intercept Luli. However, there was another piece of news that made Third Master Meng a little vexed. The Pavilion of Heaven, the Mu family and the Rakshasa Palace all sent people out. Some reclusive demons came as well. All of them were gathering here. Third Master Meng could tell with his toes that they were here for the godly speedboat. Everyone wanted to fight for it. No. Third Master Meng thought about it and sent a message back to ask the Hell Palace to mobilize more powerful warriors. If Luli fell into the hands of other families, he would still die, but the significance would be completely different. Also, Luli might have some valuable treasures on him. Therefore, Third Master Meng had to capture Luli. Third Master Meng had planned to divide his forces, but now he had to change his plan. With the involvement of several forces and those old demons, he could be killed by the other forces. Third Master Meng mobilized all the scouts and locked onto Luli's whereabouts. Then he made some calculations and took action with all the patriarchs, ready to take Luli down once and for all. Azura Island. Third Master Meng pointed to a point on the map and said, "We will go there from here. If Fourth Master Lu's route is not changed much, he must pass by here. We will intercept him there. Send someone to spread the net nearby, and we will close the net here." After the plan was decided, Third Master Meng made some arrangements and teleported over with the 9 patriarchs. At the southeast part of the Devil Sea, Luli flew the god speedboat over. Along the way, he ran into many enemies, but they were all low-level warriors. None of them were too powerful. Every time someone tried to intercept him, Luli would send out the Spectre King, which would be easily killed. Then he would keep flying. It had been a whole day, but Luli didn't feel happy at all. Instead, he felt more and more gloomy. The god speedboat was fast, but it didn't mean that Third Master Meng and the others would be at a loss and chase after Luli like idiot. None of the powerful warriors made a move, so it was highly possible that they had all gone to the front. Luli thought about turning around. The problem was that if he flew in another direction, it would take him longer. If someone wanted to intercept him, they could easily set up a trap. Therefore, Luli had to go all the way. He only hoped that the enemies would not react as fast as he thought and that he could get out of the Devil Sea. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. From the front came a noise. Luli sensed it at once. He used psychic power to check and a glint of coldness rose in his eyes. The god speedboat glowed and the Spectre King dashed out. More than 100 warriors came from the front, but all of them were warriors of the Third Tribulation. The Spectre King dashed over like a bolt of lightning. His body flickered and soon, the more than 100 warriors were minced into pieces. The Spectre King was as powerful as the middle stage of the Fourth Tribulation. Those warriors of the Third Tribulation were simply courting death. A group of warriors of the Third Tribulation wanted to take the god speedboat. It was like ants trying to swallow an elephant. Move. After the more than 100 warriors were killed, Luli collected their interspatial rings and put the Spectre King back in. Then he controlled the god speedboat to move on. After half a day, Luli steered the godly speedboat to a stop. He had a bitter expression on his face. In midair, there were 3 people standing in a fan shape. They had restrained their chi and energy, but Luli could tell that they were divine gods of the Fourth Tribulation. Chapter 2243. The experts who stopped him were not from the Hell Palace, nor were they from the other major forces. Instead, they were three old devils. The three of them were somewhat famous because they always worked together. They would burn, kill, and loot, committing all kinds of crimes. Han Zixiao, Wang Wei, and Zhang Yi were known as the three Rakshasa. The three of them looked similar. They were thin, with white hair and black clothes. Their faces were wrinkled like old tree bark. The difference was that the one on the left had a mole on his face, and the one on the right had a hunchback, which made them look different. The three old warriors must be warriors of the fourth tribulation. Luli wondered if they were at the middle stage or the latter stage. If they were at the initial stage, then things would be easier. Even the Phantom Master could kill them. Buzzing, before Luli could turn around and fly away, the three old warriors made their moves. One of them generated a dark golden claw that shook the entire sky. The claw, with a length of over 1,000 feet, smashed down. The space trembled and ripples spread out. Impressive! Luli noticed that the Godspeed boat was slowed down. Space was trembling like waves. The Godspeed boat was like a small boat in the raging sea. How could it be fast? Buzzing! Luli put away the Godspeed boat at once. He could not run away. He had to fight. He dashed out and the Phantom Master came out at once. At the same time, many worms of the void came out as well. They swarmed toward the three old warriors. Ha ha ha! Han Zixiao laughed and said in a chilling voice, "Kiddo, hand over the Godspeed boat and we will spare your life. Otherwise, we will have to eat human flesh tonight." The other monster, Wang Wei, flew over from the other side. His eyes were still filled with lust. He stared at Luli and said, "Kiddo, you are so handsome. Hand over the Godspeed boat. Otherwise, if you fall into my hands, I will make you wish you were dead." Another old warrior said nothing. He just came over from the other side. A sickle appeared in his hand. His eyes were cold. He was like a messenger from hell, dedicated to reaping lives. Whoosh! The Phantom Master dashed out toward Han Zixiao. Luli controlled the worms of the void and released Phantom Shadow to attack Wang Wei, while he himself charged toward Zhang Yi. When two sides meet on a narrow path, defeat means death. These three old demons wouldn't give Luli any chance. There was nothing much to say to people like them. Either he killed the three of them or he was killed by them. Then, they would take the godly speed boat and all the treasures on him. At the critical moment of life and death, Luli held nothing back. He was ready to use the mystical iron. If he didn't, then he might die. If he died, what did it matter if he was exposed or not? Boom! The Phantom King's speed was too fast, and he rushed to Han Zixiao's side in an instant. Han Zixiao proudly took out a massive hammer and started to fight the Phantom King. His hammer collided with the Phantom King, resulting in a muffled explosion and sparks. Han Zixiao was knocked back 1,000 meters. This spirit beast is very strong. Old Wang, old Zhang, hurry up! With a solemn look on his face, Han Zixiao's body flashed like a dragon, and the hammer in his hand smashed continuously. The Phantom King's speed was even faster, and its claws flashed like ghostly claws as it swiped toward Han Zixiao. Wang Wei wanted to be faster, but the ghostly shadow whooshed over and entered his soul. What was more, there were many worms of the void. Wang Wei didn't mind the worms of the void because he could suppress them. But the ghostly shadow was too strong. Wang Wei had an enchanted soul in his soul, but he couldn't stand the attacks of the ghostly shadow. The three Rakshasa freaks were famous for their joint attack. When they worked together, even a warrior at the later stage of the fourth tribulation realm would have trouble. However, they didn't expect that the three of them couldn't even work together to deal with a warrior at the second tribulation realm. Luli released a spirit beast and a ghost to deal with the two of them. Zhang Yi was the only one left to deal with Luli. Zhang Yi was under the least pressure. Seeing Luli coming, he put on a sinister smile. He waved his sickle around, carrying with him a murderous intent. This was not a fake baleful aura, but real baleful aura. It was formed after killing countless people. Lu Li rushed over and was enveloped by the murderous intent. He felt cold and his speed was slowed down. Lu Li was taken aback. This old asshole really had incredible means. If Lu Li didn't have any tricks up his sleeves, he would become numb in the murderous intent and slow down. In the end, his life would be taken away. Lu Li couldn't care less. He checked the surroundings with psychic power to make sure there were no scouts nearby. Then he dashed toward Zhang Yi like a mad dragon, not caring about the sickle at all. Swish, the sickle swept toward Lu Li's neck. If it were an average warrior, he would have been beheaded by the sickle. But Lu Li didn't dodge. He just reached out one hand to grab the sickle. Zhang Yi sneered. Lu Li was trying to grab his sickle. The speed and strength of the sickle were horrifying. How could Zhang Yi grab it with his bare hands? The next second, Zhang Yi was shocked. Lu Li's grip on the sickle had slowed Zhang Yi down. Eventually, the sickle landed on Lu Li's neck. But it only left a trace of blood. It didn't even break Lu Li's bones, let alone cut his head off. Go to hell, Lu Li bellowed. The relic metal appeared in his hand. He poured divine energy into it and swung it at the sickle. Rays of dark glare came out and a surge of horrifying might spread out. Zhang Yi was frightened and desperate. He didn't expect that Lu Li would have such a powerful artifact. That horrifying might was unstoppable and could destroy everything. Without thinking, Zhang Yi was about to step back, but he forgot one thing: his scythe was in Lu Li's hand. Zhang Yi's attention was attracted by the godly iron, so he didn't think about the scythe. He only realized this when he was about to step back, but he was stopped by Lu Li. Boom! The relic metal smashed down. Zhang Yi's head was crushed. Then half of his body was minced into dust. He couldn't be more dead. Blood sprayed everywhere. The interspatial ring came off automatically and the sickle was in Lu Li's hand. Buzzing, Lu Li put away the relic metal at once. It could not be exposed for long or it would be discovered. He put away the sickle and the interspatial ring in a flash. Disregarding the wound on his neck, he turned around and rushed toward Wang Wei. What? Han Zixiao, who was fighting the Phantom Master, threw a glance over. He was shocked. He was fighting the Phantom Master, so he didn't have much energy to pay attention to Lu Li. The Phantom Master was too fast. If Han Zixiao were to spend too much energy, he would be killed by the Phantom Master. Just now, when Lu Li released the relic metal, the might was horrifying. Han Zixiao only managed to check with psychic power when he realized that Zhang Yi had become a dead body. Han Zixiao didn't even see how Zhang Yi died. Wang Wei was in the same situation. He was struggling to control his soul energy to fend off Phantom's attacks. The might of the relic metal alarmed him. When he checked with psychic power, he noticed that Zhang Yi was dead and Lu Li was coming toward him. Wang Wei was scared out of his wits. Lu Li could kill Zhang Yi in an instant and Wang Wei's abilities were similar to Zhang Yi's. At the moment, Phantom was attacking his soul. How could he stop Lu Li? Run! Wang Wei and Han Zixiao looked at each other. Neither of them hesitated. Lu Li must have some valuable artifact on him. The might just now must have come from that artifact. Chapter 2244. Do you think you can run away? Lu Li spread out his dragon wings and sped up. He was not far away from Wang Wei, so he dashed over. Lu Li didn't use the relic iron because he didn't have much divine energy. Even if he did, he wouldn't be able to use the relic iron to its fullest. Lu Li adopted a very primitive way of fighting. He hugged Wang Wei with great strength and punched at Wang Wei's back. At the same time, Lu Li hit Wang Wei's head with his head. Lu Li believed in Phantom's abilities. Wang Wei hadn't moved. Clearly, Wang Wei was struggling. If Lu Li could affect Wang Wei's soul would be torn apart by Phantom. How strong was Lu Li's body? Wang Wei was small and skinny. Being hugged by Lu Li was like a child. He could not get away. Lu Li smashed at Wang Wei with his fists and his head. Wang Wei's body was not weak, but it was weaker than Lu Li's. Wang Wei's head was bleeding. He felt a sharp pain on his back, and his internal organs were injured as well. His head was bleeding and his internal organs were injured, but none of that mattered. The key was Phantom. Under Lu Li's interference, Wang Wei could not focus on Phantom. Soon, his enchanted soul could not stand it any longer and was torn apart by Phantom. When his enchanted soul was torn apart, Wang Wei's soul was defenseless. Phantom rushed in and destroyed his soul. Wang Wei's soul vanished and his interspatial ring came off automatically. Bang! Lu Li threw Wang Wei's body down. Phantom whooshed out. Lu Li looked at Han Zixiao, who was not far away. Han Zixiao felt goosebumps all over as if he was being stared at by a huge beast. Han Zixiao had thought that Lu Li was a lamb with treasures. It turned out that Lu Li was a tiger in sheep's clothing. At the moment, this tiger was grinning at Han Zixiao. How could Lu Li not feel scared? Whoosh! Han Zixiao didn't care about anything else. He smashed Phantom King back and then flew away like an arrow. Lu Li would not let him go. He controlled Phantom to go after him, and so did Phantom King. Whoosh! Lu Li didn't go after him. He was not fast enough. Han Zixiao's speed was not as fast as Phantom King, and Phantom Shadow was fast enough to catch up to Han Zixiao. With Phantom King and Phantom Shadow working together, Han Zixiao would not be able to escape. Lu Li put away the worms of the void and dashed toward the sea. He used psychic power to check, but he did not take a good look. At that moment, he activated the marks of the Great Path to investigate. He discovered that there were a few scouts hiding at the bottom of the sea. These scouts' concealment techniques were very brilliant. They had merged with the reefs at the bottom of the sea. Now that he had killed 2 warriors of the Fourth Tribulation, Han Zixiao would not be able to run away. Lu Li would not expose the fact that he had to kill the scouts. Whoosh! When he dove into the water, the scouts were frightened. They all flew up and fled in all directions. But how could Lu Li's speed be compared to theirs? He caught up to 2 of them and killed them with 2 punches. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Lu Li had killed all the scouts. He rushed toward the north. He could sense the Master of Spectre's location through spiritual connection. He was right. In less than an hour, Lu Li saw the Master of Spectre and Han Zixiao. Han Zixiao was in a miserable state. His enchanted soul was not particularly strong, about the same level as Wang Wei. If it were only Master of Spectre or Phantom Shadow, Han Zixiao would be able to survive. But if there were 2 of them, he would not be able to survive. By the time Lu Li arrived, Han Zixiao was covered in wounds. One of his arms was crushed by the Master of Spectre. His chest, back, head, and thighs were all covered in wounds. It was a miserable sight. When Han Zixiao saw Lu Li coming, he was in despair. He made up his mind and shouted, "Fourth brother Lu, I will give you some information in exchange for my life. How about that? Tell your beasts to stop." Information? Lu Li raised his eyebrows and said, "Tell me. You can last a bit longer. If you can't, then you can die." Han Zixiao was quite anxious, but he didn't dare to waste any more time. He did his best to defend against the Phantom King's attacks as he said, "I've received news that the 4 major powers have all sent people to intercept you. Mu family, Pavilion of Heaven, Palace of Rakshasa, and Hell have sent people. They are all at the front. There are several patriarchs on each side. The other 3 forces all have powerful warriors like Third Master Meng. I wonder if this information can buy me my life." "This information is not valuable." Lu Li nodded. Killing intent rose in his eyes as he said, "The main thing is that you have seen something you shouldn't have. So, you must stay alive." Whoosh! Lu Li himself dashed over. He swung the cauldron of 1,000 transformations and released the Slayer's Ghost Cut. The Slayer's Ghost Cut was practically meaningless to a fourth tribulation heaven god. That being said, when the Slayer's Ghost Cut was released, there would be a suppression in heaven and earth, which would affect Han Zixiao's reaction speed. Adding insult to injury, Lu Li's attack drove Han Zixiao into despair. He was already having a hard time against the Master of Spectre and Phantom Shadow. With Lu Li's interference, Han Zixiao could not cope at all. With a miserable cry, Han Zixiao was finally torn apart by the Master of Spectre. Lu Li was relieved. The cooperation between Phantom Shadow and the Master of Spectre was flawless. One attacked the soul, the other the body. Either one of them could kill the enemy easily. Of course, this was when the enemy did not have a strong enchanted soul or strong defense. If the enemy had a strong enchanted soul, Phantom Shadow's attack would be meaningless. If the enemy's body was strong, the Master of Spectre's attack would not be able to break it. Come back! Lu Li waved to the Master of Spectre, who flew over. Lu Li put him into the hall. The Master of Spectre was injured. He was injured when he fought Su Yueqin. That being said, the hall was filled with ghost spring water. With some water, the Master of Spectre would recover soon. Let's go! Putting away Phantom, Han Zixiao's interspatial ring and the hammer, Lu Li took out the Godspeed boat and hurried on. But he changed his direction. He flew to the south. Previously, he was hoping that Third Master Meng and the others would not be able to react so quickly. Now that Han Zixiao had said so, Lu Li had to change his direction. Flying to the south was a detour. It would take him more than a day to get out of the Devil Sea, and he could be intercepted. That being said, it was better than running into the encirclement of enemies. Whoosh! After Lu Li flew away, 3 people flew out from the nearby sea. They were the best scouts. Lu Li left in a hurry and he didn't expose the relic iron when he killed Han Zixiao. Therefore, he didn't check carefully. Hiss! Old Devil Han was easily killed by him? One of the scouts exclaimed. He blinked and said, "Are you sure he is a second tribulation divine god? How did he tame that monster? And that Phantom Shadow?" Another scout said with fear in his eyes, "Demon Han and the other 2 are the 3 freaks of Rakshasa. They have always been together. Now that Demon Han is dead, Demon Wang and Demon Zhang must be dead as well. This man is freakish. He is only a second tribulation warrior and he can kill 3 fourth tribulation warriors. He is a well-known old demon. Alright, cut the crap." Chapter 2245. Lu Li had been flying towards the south for 6 hours when a piece of news spread out. Lu Li had killed the Rakshasa 3 and was now flying towards the south. It was not strange that Lu Li had changed his direction. But how could he kill the Rakshasa 3? This was shocking to many. The Rakshasa 3 had been famous for many years. They were not powerful and the major forces looked down on them. They were not willing to join any big forces either. That being said, their abilities were recognized. The 3 of them would burn, kill and loot, commit crimes, bully the weak and fear the strong. If they could defeat the 3, they would kill them together. If they could not, they would escape into the void, broken grounds or secret realms. They didn't offend the major forces or the powerful ones. Therefore, they had a comfortable life at the Rakshasa Sea. Unexpectedly, the 3 of them were dead, and they were killed by a young man who had been in the limelight recently. A second tribulation heaven god, a delicious cake in the eyes of many, a lamb that everyone wanted to have a bite of. The lamb killed the 3 ferocious dragons without hesitation. It seemed that the 3 didn't even have the strength to fight back. The bodies of the 3 were found. Zhang Yi's head and half of his body were smashed. Wang Wei's soul was destroyed and his head was bleeding. Han Zixiao was in the worst condition. Not a single part of his body was left unharmed. There were also some bodies of scouts nearby. Judging from these, the Rakshasa 3 went to kill Luli. Luli killed 2 of them and Han Zixiao ran away. In the end, Han Zixiao was hunted down and died as well. Upon this conclusion, the sea area nearby was in an uproar. Many small and medium-sized forces that wanted to take advantage of Luli gave up. 3 Fourth Tribulation heaven gods worked together, and yet they were killed by Luli. Even if all of their forces were to come out, they would only be courting death. The people of the 4 great forces swarmed towards the south. Countless scouts were scattered towards the south, and the sky was filled with messages that spread to all the big and small forces in the south. The small forces acted as soon as they received the message. The 4 forces asked them for help and they were willing to do so. Many forces took action. Luli's whereabouts were soon known and his route was figured out as well. He could not open the portal here and he could only teleport over. They couldn't open the domain gate here, so they could only teleport over. Fortunately, they were at the edge of the Rakshasa Sea, so it wouldn't take much time to teleport to the south. Luli changed directions twice on the way, but the scouts were able to detect him immediately. Wherever he went, there were countless islands filled with warriors and scouts. It was impossible for him to kill every single one of them. All the forces had people staying behind to coordinate the overall situation. As soon as Luli's whereabouts changed, the news would be spread out. Third Master Meng and the others would also change their direction and search for the best route to intercept them. After more than half a day, Luli was finally surrounded. Not by one force, but by 4 at the same time. The 4 great forces moved out almost at the same time. None of them wanted to let the other party succeed first. Even though Luli had killed the 3 Rakshasa freaks, in the eyes of the powerful warriors, Luli was nothing. It would be too easy for them to kill him. Therefore, the treasure belonged to whoever found Luli first. The death of the 3 Rakshasa freaks was suspicious to many. Luli had treasures on him. Zhang Yi died in such a miserable way, but there was no trace of the Phantom King on him. This meant that Zhang Yi was killed by Luli alone. A warrior of the Second Tribulation killed a warrior of the Fourth Tribulation? Even if Luli had cultivated the Supreme Divine Body, he wouldn't be so lethal. Otherwise, the Phantom King wouldn't have to come out. Luli could kill one with one punch. What was more, since Luli had the Godspeed boat, it was not surprising that he had other treasures. There was only one Godspeed boat at the Rakshasa Sea. Therefore, none of the 4 forces wanted to be left behind. They went to find Luli almost at the same time. Some patriarchs of middle-level forces also came to help. There were many powerful warriors around the Divine Fortune Island where they were. Scouts were everywhere. Luli flew the Godspeed boat over. He stopped in midair because there were powerful warriors coming from several directions. He used psychic power to check and saw dozens of warriors coming. Luli was in despair. Dozens of warriors of the Fourth Tribulation. Third Master Meng and Patriarch Huo were among them. Judging by the situation of several teams of warriors, all of the 4 forces should be here. Desperate situation. Luli hadn't been in this situation for many years. Last time, he was captured by the pure heaven blood eagle race. This time, it was worse than last time. Nothing he could say could change the outcome. Third Master Meng had to kill him. The powerful warriors of the other forces had nothing to do with him. They were all here for his treasures. If it were some average warriors of the Fourth Tribulation, he might be able to fight his way out if he was lucky. But Third Master Meng and the patriarchs of the other forces made him lose the will to fight. Warriors of this level could kill him in one move. They were like dragons and he was just an ant. How could he fight against them? There was no unwillingness in his heart, no rage, and no complaints. Those who kill will always be killed. He couldn't blame God if he was not as good as others. He was lucky to be able to make it here. If it weren't for the fact that Patriarch Huo and Patriarch Yun wanted to see the Meng family lose face, he would have died in the ghost realm. He didn't regret offending Su Yueqin or capturing Mengli. He had always done things in this way. If he failed, he would have to face the consequences. "Sister, I don't think I can see you again," he murmured. A glint of determination rose in his eyes. He dashed out of the Godspeed boat with the Ghost King and the Ghost Shadow. Lu Li held the Godspeed boat in his hand and waited calmly. He waited calmly. His gaze swept across the people who were approaching him, and finally landed on Third Master Meng's face. He put on a cruel smile. Even if he had to die, he would try his best to make the Meng family a scapegoat. Of course, he wasn't so arrogant as to think that he could kill 1 or 2 patriarchs by rushing over like this. He had an idea, but he wasn't sure if it would work. 4 teams came from 4 directions. All of them had quite a number of warriors. The Hell Palace had the most with 16 warriors of the 4th Tribulation. One team had the least number with only 7 warriors of the 4th Tribulation. Lu Li didn't know them and he didn't know which force they were from. In the distance there were some warriors of the 4th Tribulation as well. But they were just watching from a distance, not daring to come closer. Maybe they wanted to take advantage of the situation? Maybe they could fish in troubled waters? The 4 teams stopped at a distance of 150 miles from each other. Clearly, the 4 teams were wary of each other. They were secretly guarding against the other 3 forces. The 4 forces of the Rakshasa Sea were hostile to each other. There was no such thing as an ally. During this time, one force would fight with another force. After a while, 2 other forces would fight. Sometimes, the 4 forces would fight together. Chapter 2246. Lu Li's voice was so loud that it could be heard from an area with a radius of more than 300 miles. Many people nearby felt their eardrums buzzing because of Lu Li's thunderous voice. It didn't matter if his voice was loud. What mattered was the content of his words. He was going to destroy the Godspeed boat to hold everyone hostage, and he was going to give out treasures. Ghost Master wanted to talk to everyone? How could a nobody have the guts to negotiate with powerful warriors of the major forces in such a desperate situation? Such boldness was enough to make countless people look at him in a new light. Third Patriarch Meng squinted. He had a feeling that Lu Li was up to something. However, patriarchs of the other 3 forces had their eyes on him. Third Patriarch Meng didn't dare to move. Once he moved, he might be attacked by others. "Ha ha!" A patriarch of the Pavilion of Heaven on the left said with a smile, "Punk, I can't tell that you are brave. Tell us, we're all listening." "Ha ha ha." A patriarch on the right said, "Kid, tell us. Anything is negotiable as long as you can give us the Godspeed boat." Actually, they didn't care about the Ghost Master. Some of them could kill him easily. That being said, the Ghost Master was not an adult yet. With proper training, he could be a powerful force. Lu Li cupped his fist. A flying sword appeared in his hand. It was Meng Li's flying sword, a fragment of Emperor weapon. Even though there was something wrong with the ghost energy, the divine might was still strong. As soon as the flying sword was taken out, Third Patriarch Meng and the others looked awful. This was a treasure of the Meng family. It was given to Meng Li for protection, and now it was in Lu Li's hands. The thought that Meng Li might be in a vegetative state made their killing intent surge out. Lu Li had been keeping an eye on Third Patriarch Meng and the others. Seeing that they didn't do anything, Lu Li glanced over to the others and said, "This is a fragment of Emperor weapon, the Godspeed boat and the Ghost Master. But you have 4. You can't separate them. How about you 3 kill the Hell Palace together? As long as you can do that, I will give you all the treasures and you can do whatever you want." What? As soon as Lu Li finished his words, people around him were in an uproar. The 4 forces didn't say anything. The onlookers were in an uproar. Lu Li wanted to use others to do his dirty work? Borrowing the strength of the 3 major powers to annihilate the people of Underworld Palace? He used the destruction of the Godspeed boat as a threat. His guts were heaven-defying, and he was plotting something big. Third Master Meng and the others were filled with murderous intent. However, none of them dared to make a move. Instead, they stared at the people from the other three forces with caution. The four great forces were originally hostile to each other. If there was a chance, they would definitely think of a way to get rid of each other. Lu Li's words had given the other three forces a great opportunity. If the three forces really joined hands, many of them might die here today. Ha ha ha! An elder of the Luosha Palace smiled. He nodded and said, "This is a very good proposal. The Luosha Palace agrees. What about the Heaven Pavilion and the Mu family?" The Rakshasa Palace had just fought a great battle with the people from the Hell Palace some time ago. Both sides had suffered heavy casualties. It could be said that there was a blood feud between them. The people of Devil Palace were already unhappy with the people of Hell Palace. How could they miss such a good opportunity? Ha 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 ha! A powerful elder of the Heavenly Pavilion laughed loudly and said, "Little kid, do you really think we are idiots? You want to incite a war between us with just a few words? If we, a bunch of old guys, are used as knives by you, then we will have been living like dogs all these years." Right, right. The leader of the Mu family said with a smile, "Little bastard, don't even think about this. Just hand over the treasure and we can spare your life." If so, then there is nothing more to say. Lu Li's expressions turned cold. Then he suddenly threw the god boat to Third Master Meng and shouted, "Since you don't want it, then I will have to give it to you. Third Master Meng, take it!" A Third Master Meng and the people of the Meng family were stunned. Lu Li didn't destroy the god boat and instead, he gave it to them? None of them could figure it out. They hesitated for the time for one breath as well. Third Master Meng's eyes flashed and he flew toward the Godspeed boat to grab hold of such a treasure that had been delivered to his doorstep. However, right at that moment, he felt alarms were ringing in the depth of his soul. He sensed fatal danger. 3 killing intents were coming from 3 different directions. Buzzing, the space on his left began to tremble as a spear came out. The space collapsed and the spearhead glowed. The entire world seemed to have disappeared, and the only thing left was the indestructible spear. Buzzing. Almost at the same time, the space above Third Master Meng's head began to tremble. A ghostly claw came down with dense white mist. The white mist was like the glow of a holy weapon, capable of mincing everything. Boom, boom, boom. The space on his right began to tremble as well. An iron fist smashed at him with ripples in space. The iron fist was covered in thunderbolts. Because of the speed, the sound it made was ear-piercing. Chui Wushuang, Hu Bugue Mu Wanping. Third Master Meng's expressions changed. He was enraged and shouted hysterically, "How dare you set me up? Courting death!" Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Third Master Meng finished his words, many sounds came out. Warriors of the 3 forces made their moves and dashed towards the Hell Palace. Before they got close, many attacks were launched. Rakshasa Palace, Pavilion of Heaven, Mu family, how dare you set us up? Kill. Kill these bastards. The Hell Palace and the 3 of you are irreconcilable enemies. The Hell Palace had the most people. There were 16 of them. However, under the joint attack of the 3 forces, they were flustered. A few of them were hit and were severely injured. Boom. Third Master Meng's entire body lit up with golden light. Rings of light enveloped his body like raging flames. 3 attacks landed on his rings of light, causing a terrifying explosion. The seawater below rolled up huge waves. A terrifying whirlwind blew, and the sound of the explosion was endless. The shockwave shook everyone away. I will remember today's grudge. Retreat. Before anyone could see clearly, Third Master Meng had already turned into a blood-red light and flew towards the south. The rest of the Meng family panicked. Elder Hua and Elder Yun were the first to retreat. Both of them were injured, and many others were injured. 5 of them were killed instantly. 3 of them were not fast enough and were forced to stay. Boom, boom, boom. Since they could not escape, they naturally died. The 3 of them became 3 corpses and fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, 8 people from the Hell Palace were killed. The rest of them ran away with injuries. What a pity! A man appeared in midair. He held a long spear in his hand. It was Elder Hubugue of the Rakshasa Palace. He said with a face full of emotion, "Third Master Meng is indeed strong. Even with our sneak attack, we still couldn't stop him. We missed a good opportunity. Hee, it's not bad that we managed to stop 7th Master Meng and 9th Master Meng." Chapter 2247. Third Master Meng was right. The 4 forces were hostile to each other. If they had the chance, they would try their best to kill each other's powerful warriors. The hatred could not be resolved. So what if they were irreconcilable enemies, like Third Master Meng said? Weren't the 4 forces always at odds with each other and trying to destroy each other? There was no power without ambition. Everyone wanted to unify Devil Sea. Everyone wanted to become the king of this sea region. The 4 forces had existed for so many years that they had always wanted to destroy the other 3 forces and unify the Devil Sea. Luli was a great opportunity, a chance for the 3 forces to work together temporarily. The Hell Palace had too many warriors. If the 4 forces fought with their own abilities, the other 3 forces would not get anything. There were not many treasures. The most precious one was the Godspeed boat. If Luli destroyed it, what was the point of them coming here? If the 4 forces fought over it, there would be casualties. It would not be worthwhile even if they got the Godspeed boat. Therefore, Luli's proposal tempted the other 3 forces. Hubugue sent a message to Mu Wanping and Chui Wushuang. They agreed to work together without any hesitation. Even if they could not get the Godspeed boat, it would be good for the 3 forces if they could kill Third Brother Meng. They were all sly old foxes. They reacted quickly. The 3 even put on a show. Hubugue asked Luli to play along. The ending was perfect. The 3 powerful warriors sneak-attacked Third Master Meng and almost killed him. Even though he escaped with serious injuries, his injuries were serious. His vitality was hurt. It would take him at least 10 years to recover to his peak. Maybe it would affect his cultivation in the future. The Hell Palace left 8 patriarchs. The 3 forces were satisfied with this fight. Everything happened so fast. From Luli's words to Third Master Meng running away, only the time for a few breaths had passed. The situation had changed so fast that many onlookers didn't even have time to react. Hiss, hiss, many onlookers stepped back automatically when they saw the bodies floating on the sea. The old guys of the 3 forces were so cruel. What if they joined hands and killed them as well? This guy is something. Someone turned to Luli with psychic power. He was just a fuse, but he had done it anyway. With a few words, he easily killed a few elders of the Underworld Palace, while Third Master Meng and the others escaped with heavy injuries. If it was anyone else, they would not have such courage and boldness, nor would they have such wit. "He still has to die," an old monster sneered. The battle was over, and all that was left was to divide the spoils. To divide the spoils, they must take all of Luli's treasures, not to mention his life. After all, several forces had taken Luli's treasures. They must be killed to prevent future troubles. Mu Wanping, Chui Wushuang said with a smile, "Isn't your Mu family good at speed and poisonous insects? What was the use of this Godspeed boat? You can have the Phantom King, but you can give the Godspeed boat to us. Our pavilion master really needs it." Chui Wushuang and Mu Wanping directly ignored the Luosha Palace because the Luosha Palace's people were too few. If the 2 factions joined hands, the Luosha Palace's people would not be able to escape. Besides, the The Luosha Palace had just fought with the Underworld Palace not long ago, and they had not taken revenge for the loss of the god's son. This time, the Mu clan and the Heaven Pavilion were helping the Luosha Palace to vent their anger. The most crucial point was that the Luosha Palace's palace lord had the god speedboat. Since he had it, what was the point of having another one? Therefore, the two factions naturally would not pass on this responsibility. Hee. Hubugue suddenly laughed, and his smile was a bit wretched. He shook his head and said, "I am sorry. Our palace lord said that you cannot take these things. The Luosha Palace will take them. We will compensate you later." Nonsense. Mu Wanping's expression turned cold. He laughed mockingly and said, "Your palace lord said that the things should belong to your clan? Our clan head also said that the god speedboat must be taken." Hubugue. Chui Wushuang's expression was not good either. He even glanced at Hubugue as if silently saying that he was not tactful and overestimating himself. He said coldly, "Don't be unreasonable. You can leave. Don't hurt the harmony." "We really can't leave." Hubugue smiled bitterly and bowed to the east. "Welcome, Palace Lord. Welcome, Palace Lord." The elders of Devil Palace all bowed and saluted. Countless people looked to the side. There was a sound of breaking through the air from the east, and then a white light flew over quickly. In an instant, it broke through the encirclement of countless people nearby and arrived at the scene. "Godspeed boat?" Luli took a look and was surprised. The Godspeed boat was the same as the one he had. He took advantage of the chaos to fly the Godspeed boat back. He thought that when the four forces were in a mess, he could take the chance to run away. He didn't expect that the fight would end in an instant. Even though Luli took the Godspeed boat back, it was pointless. He didn't dare to move. He had to wait for his fate to be decided. "Palace Lord?" "The Palace Lord of the Luosha Palace." Luli squinted. He didn't expect that he could see such a big shot before he died. This man was at the same level as the Palace Master of the Hell Palace. He was one of the most powerful warriors of the Luosha Sea. If he stomped his feet, many people would tremble. Why would the Palace Lord of the Luosha Palace be here? This idea came to everyone's mind. Even Hubugue and the others couldn't figure it out. This was just a small matter. It was understandable to send some patriarch. No matter how important this matter was, sending a great patriarch was enough. There was no need for the Palace Lord to come in person. When the Luosha Palace and the Hell Palace were fighting, only their great patriarchs were there. The Palace Lord and the Palace Master of the Hell Palace didn't show up. They were the most powerful. They wouldn't show up unless it was something big or it was related to the survival of their forces. Also, the Palace Lord of the Luosha Palace had the Godspeed boat. Taking Lu Li's Godspeed boat would be pointless. Instead, she would be laughed at by the Luosha Sea, which would lower her status. Well, yes, the Palace Lord of the Luosha Palace was a woman. She was the most famous one at the Luosha Sea. She was beautiful, elegant, and powerful. Most importantly, she had many gigolos. It was said that in her harem, there were all kinds of handsome and fierce men. There were more than 100 of them. There was also a rumor that she cultivated the skill of gathering yang to nourish yin. She needed many men to be her tripod vessels to help her cultivate. Just think about it, how could a woman like this not be famous? She was cruel and merciless. She didn't have a family or offspring. She suppressed all the heroes on her own and led the Luosha Palace. Yes, she was an outsider. She came to the Luosha Sea more than 500 years ago. She went into the Luosha Palace alone, killed the old Palace Lord of the Luosha Palace, slaughtered his family, and became the new Palace Lord of the Luosha Palace. In the past 500 years, she only fought 3 times. The first time was when she killed the old Palace Lord of the Luosha Palace. The second time was when she killed a great patriarch of the Mu family. The third time was when she killed a very powerful demon of the Luosha Sea. The 3 battles established her prestige and made her the most famous woman at the Luosha Sea. Nobody knew where she came from. She almost never showed up in public. Many things were told by word of mouth. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.